All right, we are back. You know how I work. You give me something, we get right on it. So tonight, we're doing it. Anyway, whoo, I had a great time last night. Thank you. Thank you all for a super 10K plus celebration. I loved every minute of it. Every minute of it. And so I said, well, I'm doing a power panel on Wednesday night, and we're going to be covering a lot of information on that power panel. So tonight, I wanted to do a preliminary to the power panel. Hence, we go live tonight with Do You See What I See? Sebastian Rogers, 15-year-old boy with autism, went missing out of Hendersonville, Tennessee, from his house. When you can capture what I just said, it will remind you of cases that go back into time. It certainly did me. I said, wait a minute, how many other cases have I covered with children going missing from the house, in the house? And I went back and I did some digging and I came across some names. And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight to get things warmed up. I'm excited about tomorrow night's power panel. I haven't spoken to that power panel yet, but I will be posting the live for tomorrow night's power panel tonight and get the link out so we can get everything set up. But I wanted to come on tonight. Much love to everyone who is in the building. Jeannie from the block. The Love is in the house. Miss Angel is in the house. Jess is in the house. Patty Ponytail is in the house. Dawn is in the house. Twitty Lynn is in the house. S. Francisco is in the house. Shannon Pisces is in the house. The Queen of Ozian is in the house. Heather's in the house. Always Street, or no, let me say that right. A one-way street is in the house. Calamex is in the house. Mary Rogers is in the house. Jackie Unfiltered is back. Mohawk Mom is in the building. No Madness is in the building. D. Marie is in the building. Melissa G is in the building. Misinformation is in the building. Roxy R is in the building. Oh my goodness. For those of you who were with us last night, wow, we had a great time. Good live. It was a great live. Loyal, and wait a minute. Okay, I must have skipped some names. No, I didn't. I try not to. Loyal and Betrayal, Miss Cassie is in the building. Showing some love. Cassie, where you been? Where you been? I know you've been busy on your channel. And I know that some special things are going on, currently right now. Hope you and the family are doing well. And especially your dad. I hope he's doing well. So, yes, I'm glad you could make it. Welcome. Sunset Gazing is back in the building. Debbie is in the building. Tamika Ward is in the building. Sundown Farms is in the building. That's great to see y'all. I thought I'd come back right away because this case is a powerhouse case. And I guess, some of my, talents in casework uh, come through two components: crime scene investigation, where detail is critical, and behavior analysis. So if I can point my fingers to those two components whenever I do investigation work, especially when it's pertains to missing persons, I can point my finger at those two components that make up what I do on my channel. So that's what we're going to study here tonight, those two components, and a couple of cases that I came across that's reminiscent to Sebastian Rogers. Okay. As we talked about last night, in starting tonight's live, I welcome you all. Much love. I know that Brother Shankrock was in the building last night. I didn't shout him out. It was just so many names and so many people that jumped into the chat, and it was like, okay, this thing is speeding up here. And it was absolutely crazy. But we had a good time. I certainly did. Tori Banks is in the building. Mary Rogers is in the building. Absolutely. You guys touched me. Last night, I was just blown away. So I thank every single one of you that were here. And for those of you who are brand new, I thank you as well. So don't forget, if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up. Let's get this one in the algorithm. And that'll strengthen the push to keep this story on the table. So that is the only work I ask of you to do. You guys were sensational. I had a call from Boss Blake this afternoon, touching base with me in regards to last night, and we shot the breeze. I'm working on some new stuff. Him and I, when we collaborate, he always ties me in and takes good care of the John Q channel. So big shout out to my brother, Boss Blake. Anyway, to get into it, oh, there's Justin's hitting me back. And I'm hitting him back just to let him know. I just told him I'm live. Thank you. Yeah, that big 10K was a big push. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Voices Behind the Wall is in the building. Carol Smith is in the building. And Justin said he's coming over. Great. Okay. Shannon Pisces is in the building. Yes. Miss Cher, say hello to Mark for me. If he's there with you, hi, Mark. We had a great time. Mark's here too. Okay, great. Good. So what we're going to do here tonight, and I'll do the best I can. Time is of the essence. This brought me back into time and started comparing casework. That's what content creators who do this type of work do. Were there any other cases out there where people just up and went missing without a trace? And one definitely comes to mind because that's the same one that started me on my channel. Kanika Jenkins. 19, went missing at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Rosemont, Illinois, September 9th of 2017. She never made it home. No one knows what happened to her, but she went to a friend's birthday party with other friends. They seem to have gotten separated somehow. Kanika became inebriated, wandered through this hotel, this large, huge establishment out in Rosemont, Illinois. She had never been there before. Inebriated, looking possibly for a way out, but didn't find it. Kanika Jenkins reminded me of what we're about to talk about here tonight. Now, the case that comes to mind, Cash Gernon. He went missing straight out of the house. For those of you that remember the Cash Gernon case, there was a video that came from a baby cam that had been placed in Cash Gernon's room, him and his brother. And that night they went to sleep. A stranger came into the room when it was pitch black dark. Hoodie, dark clothes, stepped in silently and snatched Cash Gernon directly from his crib, from the bed that they were sleeping in together, him and his brother, and took him out of the room. Unbeknownst to him, it was captured on videotape. Cash Gernon was unfortunately unalived, allegedly by Darian Brown, who seemed to had friendship relationships with the family. How he got in the house, if it was him, is still a mystery. But he was booked, was taken into custody for the unaliving of Cash Gernon. He is still in custody, undergoing psychiatric eval under a court order. And as far as that case is concerned, he has not gone to trial yet. The court found him not competent or capable enough to be tried. What will happen with him, we don't know, but we still have eyes on it. Mr. Boss is in the building. Humongous is in the building. Justin is in the building. Thank you for being here. Another case that comes to mind. Obviously, the one that touches everyone's heart. Classic and sincere, also known as Orin and Orson West. Two toddlers that went missing December of 2020 out of California City, California. What happened to them? They went missing from the house. From the house. I said, together? Yeah. We're going to hear a little bit tonight about that case. We did a little bit of homework, started doing case comparison. Another case. Summer Wells, 5-year-old out of Rogersville, Tennessee, went missing. She has been still missing for 3 years. Where did she go? What happened? from the house on the parents' watch. Did she just walk out the door? Was she taken? Or did something else happen? And we're not being told about it. That case comes to mind. Daniel Robinson, 25, field geologist, working for an engineering firm out in Buckeye, Arizona, went missing 8 days later after summer. Now, he didn't go missing out of his house, but he went missing at work. I said, that's a new one. But it reminded me of how people just go missing like that, out of thin air. No one sees anything. No one hears anything. Damn, did they say anything? Damned if they say anything. Denise Blackburn, welcome. So we get to the real one that touches me just like every single one of these cases. That's 2-year-old Amari Nicholson. Went missing underneath, I would say, a step parent, if you will, underneath his nose from out of the house, Las Vegas. For those of you who remember this case, I said, how is it possible? How do they go missing from inside the house? Tonight, we're going to take a look and begin a profiling in the two areas, the two components that we talked about before. We're going to do some behavior analysis. We're going to catch some cues, if you will. That's what I like to call them, because these cues begin to tell the truth about not only what happened, but who's involved and possibly their why. I like to get to motive as quickly as possible if I can, because there is motive for each and every single one of these cases that I just got finished talking about. Snickerdoodle is in the building. Darzilla is in the building. Butterfly Kisses is in the building. Welcome. All right, so in putting this together, we're going to be talking about here tonight. Well, let me just get it up and running. You know how I like to do it. We're going to take a quick look at the Amari Nicholson case. And then we're going to be getting into some details. And then we're going to go from there. I'm going to walk you through how we're going to get to Sebastian Rogers. If I walk you through some of my homework, you can see how I think about these cases. Is that good enough? And if it is for you, type a 1. That'll be also good for a sound check. And I appreciate every one of you joining us here tonight, because the name of tonight's live is, Do You See What I See? All right, we got some ones popping up. Ones popping up. Okay, good sound. Thank you, S. Francisco. Patty Zaleski is in the building. Cat Eyes is in the building. Denise Blackburn is in the building. Jersey Devil is in the building. Quinny is in the building. Tweety Lynn is in the building. Thank you, boss. Rhonda McDowell's in the building. Butterfly Kisses. All right. All right. So let us begin to take a look at this particular case real quick. How did Amari Nicholson go missing? So if you have anything to write on or scratch on for those content creators that cover true crime, you know what I'm talking about. And then we can lead up to finding out what's going on with the Sebastian Rogers case. Let's go to work.
Finger pointing and confusion tonight over the disappearance of a 2-year-old boy. Amari Nicholson has been missing for more than 2 days now.
And tonight we're hearing from the boy's mother and her boyfriend, and they're now saying that someone kidnapped him. Fox 5's Joe VL joining us now with more on what the couple is saying. Joe.
Yeah, that's right. I talked to the couple today. Now, the mother flat out said some of what she's saying may certainly sound confusing to people, but she says someone took her son. She is struggling with a little boy who hasn't come home and wants the public to help find him.
Jeez. It has been 2.5 days since anyone has heard anything about 2-year-old Amari Nicholson.
Panic mode, freaking out, crying, screaming, just my baby's gone.
Amari's mother, Taylor Nicholson, says she got the news her son was missing on Wednesday while she was in Colorado taking care of her mother who was attacked by a dog. She left Amari with her boyfriend, who considers Amari his son, at the Emerald Suites near the Strip. Now, he says Wednesday, just after 6 a.m., someone knocked on the door.
And it was a woman saying that she was her baby daddy's sister.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she was there to pick up my stepson.
Terrell Rhodes says she called Amari's mom in Colorado.
I turned around to call her to tell her if this is are this true? Was this really prearranged? And as I'm doing that, she said she don't need anything for my stepson. They got everything they need for him, and basically just took off.
Nicholson says she missed Rhodes' call.
So I was still asleep, so my phone, I didn't hear the first few calls until it was already too late.
Now, this is where things get a little confusing. The mother tells me she and Rhodes got into an argument about her being away from Vegas and told him someone would be stopping by, but didn't say exactly who and didn't say why they were coming over.
But you didn't know her, though, correct? You never seen her? So did you not know this person you're letting take Amari away?
I mean, from my knowledge, I already was told like someone was going to stop by, somebody was going to, but I never knew who. So I still had that in my head that somebody was coming by.
But bottom line, Nicholson says she never gave anyone permission to come and pick up Amari. She says Rhodes did not give Amari to the woman. She took him and just wants him back safe.
In this whole story, it sounds confusing. It sounds like we're lying. It sounds like, it's a whole, it's just a big confusion.
Now, Amari's biological father, who lives in Reno, talked to Fox 5 last night, and this is what he said about Amari's disappearance.
I don't know where he is, and she don't know, and the police don't know. So he's kidnapped. He's gone.
Taylor Nicholson says she wants people to share social media posts and news stories about her son and be on the lookout for him so he can come home safe. And of course, we'll stay on top of this and let you know what's happening. Live at the update desk, Joe Vigil, Fox 5 News, local, Las Vegas.
All right. And so this starts off tonight's live. How does a little boy from inside the house go missing? This guy gives a child to a stranger. He doesn't know. They're confused about who's picking up who. They always say things like that leave clues. They leave cues too. And cues they do. Let's take a look at the second piece. Let me do this. Got some people jumping up in the building here. Thank you all for being here tonight. Seth Rogers is in the building. Seth is in the building. If that's really you, thank you for being here. God bless you. Seth Rogers is Sebastian Rogers' biological father. Much love to you. Let's go to work.
On April 30th, 2021, 21-year-old Taylor Nicholson boarded a flight from Las Vegas to Colorado to help her mother recover from tendon injuries sustained from a dog bite. She left her 2-year-old son, Amari, in the care of 27-year-old boyfriend, Terrell Rhodes. They lived together in Las Vegas at an Emerald Suites extended stay facility at the intersection of Paradise and Twain.
Okay.
Taylor claims she and
And for my moderators in the room, thank you. You know, if we see certain strange things that shouldn't be in the room, definitely take care of it. I appreciate that. I thought that was, but definitely thank you, Justin. Yeah, keep Seth in your prayers. Yeah, trolls out there looking for titles tonight. That does happen. But thank you for taking care of that. And take care of anything or anybody else that starts to come out sideways. Let's continue.
Terrell had been arguing via phone and text over the course of her trip until on May 3rd, at roughly 3:35 a.m., she texted him that the relationship was over. She told Terrell that someone would be stopping by to collect her belongings, but did not specifically state who would be stopping by. Taylor told detectives the two had not spoken since then, until a May 5th phone call from Terrell. At some time during the 6 a.m. hour, Terrell called Taylor to tell her an unknown woman who claimed to be Amari's paternal aunt suddenly showed up around 6 a.m. and took Amari from their place at Emerald Suites. He claims he was trying to call Taylor but could not get through. At roughly 7:01 a.m., Taylor calls Las Vegas police from Colorado to report a kidnapping.
Hi, I need to report an Amber Alert.
Okay, who's missing that you know?
My son,
How old's your son?
he will be 3 in October.
Where did you last see him?
My apartment, somebody came knocking on the door. My boyfriend thought it was related to us, and she ran out the door with my baby.
Okay, what address did this happen at?
It's the Emerald Suite, Building J, off the Convention Center, Paradise and Twain. I'm in Colorado visiting my mom right now, so I'm not in Vegas.
Did somebody already call
the
this
first
in?
flight. No, I'm the first person.
Okay, off of you said Paradise Convention Center. Let me see. Give me a moment. Why didn't anybody call this in earlier?
I just found out about it. It just happened.
Oh no, why didn't they call police?
They called me and I panicked and called you guys.
So I know they're building J. Do you know what unit or apartment number they're at?
It's on the inside building. We just moved right before I had left town, so I don't know what the apartment number is, but it's building J on the courtyard side, and it's the 3rd floor corner building all the way to the top left.
Okay. And then, so do we know who might have taken the child, or no idea?
At this point, I don't know because nobody knows where we live. But he claims that she said that she was my baby daddy's sister, but I don't talk to any of his family, and he's not on the birth certificate. He has no rights to my son.
So
He's
he
not
gave
allowed
this
to be in
girl
contact.
the child, and then they left. Is that right?
He was packing my son's clothes, and she ran out the door with him.
Okay. Let me see. Give me one moment. So this would be your ex-boyfriend's sister, technically, right?
I'm sorry, what?
This is your ex-boyfriend's sister, correct?
Yeah,
Do we know how long ago we last saw the kid?
maybe 30 minutes.
Do we know which way they went?
No.
Okay. Do we know if they left on foot or in a vehicle?
Wearing a gray Adidas sweater with sweatpants.
Oh, I'm sorry. Before we get to that, do we know if they left on foot or in a car?
In a car.
What color, make, and model car were they driving?
He wasn't able to see it.
Okay, that's
He was
okay.
still in the apartment when she ran out.
Okay. I already have a call set up, so I just need some more info. I want to clarify, there is no child custody paperwork involved, right? Or do you have full custody?
I have full custody.
Okay.
My baby daddy was abusive to me when I was pregnant, and he went to prison for 2 years for beating on me when I was pregnant. And so he has no right to know that they shouldn't be in contact.
Okay, understood. And what's the child's or the ex-boyfriend's sister's name?
I'm assuming it would be. I'm not sure. He only has 2 sisters, so it'd either be.
Okay.
But it is her.
Okay, I'll go ahead and put you in Colorado, but you're working your way back here. If you get any further, please give us a call back right away. Otherwise, you're all set, okay?
Okay, my plane leaves at 1:30, and so I should be there around 2:30.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Bye.
Thank you, bye.
Police dispatch documents the call and quickly reaches out to Terrell.
Okay. The key critical point in any missing persons case is getting a hold of police. And as you heard, this 911 call going into dispatch to be dispatched to an officer to go to location. Now, I haven't come across yet, or I don't know if anybody has come across the 911 dispatch call yet in the Sebastian Rogers case. I'd love to hear it. I don't believe it's out, but correct me if I'm wrong. That's the critical piece. How was the call made? What was said? What was described? What information was given? And how dispatch begins to go to work from this point. She didn't sound like she had a lot of information. She didn't sound like she had any details as to what was going on, who was talking about what. We can understand she's in another state. Terrell is in Las Vegas with Amari. Dispatch makes a call to him.
Hello.
Hey, it's Metro Police on a recorded line. Is this Terrell?
Yes.
Hey, sir. I just spoke with Taylor on the phone, and she advised that her ex-boyfriend's sister may have taken her child.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get some basic information really quick. When did you last see the child?
Approximately like 50 minutes ago.
15 minutes ago?
50.
Oh, 50? Oh, okay. And then did you see which way they went when they took off?
No, I didn't. I didn't even look out the door.
Okay.
I had no idea. I ain't had no idea she was even coming over here.
Oh, okay. That's what Taylor said. And then do you know what color, make, and model car they might have left in, or no idea?
Ma'am, I don't know.
Okay.
All I know is she had on a gray Adidas sweatsuit.
Okay. Let me get her
sweatshirt and pants to match.
Okay, I'm gonna get her description. Did she give you her name?
Excuse me?
Did she give you what her name was?
No, but her name is, my girlfriend gave it to me.
Okay, because she said it's one of two possible sisters. Let me get her description. Was she white, black, Hispanic, or Asian?
She was black.
And then how old did she look?
Like in her 20s.
How tall was she?
Medium build, like 5'9", 5'10".
Okay, and what color hair did she have?
Black.
What color?
Black, red, the little individual little braids.
Black braids, okay. And then did she appear drunk or high at all?
No, ma'am.
Any weapons on her?
No, ma'am, not that I know of.
Okay, and then Amari, what color clothes was he last seen wearing?
He had his pajamas on still, baby blue pajamas.
Okay.
And a sweater, a gray sweater.
Okay.
That I grabbed because I was going to start packing his stuff up, and then she just said, "Oh well, we already got everything we need for him, so you don't need to pack anything."
Okay.
So I just gave him his sweater.
And then, sir, what apartment number are you guys in?
I'm in 3107, ma'am.
So it's the Emerald Suite, 3107, Building J.
Yeah.
John, right?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to be out there as soon as we can. Any COVID symptoms or exposure to COVID for anybody involved?
Oh, you said any exposure?
Yeah, any COVID symptoms or exposure to COVID?
No COVID, ma'am.
Okay, you're all set. We'll be out there soon, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, bye.
That's a call to dispatch, from dispatch to the boyfriend who happens to be with Amari. It's critical. Carol, thank you for those links. I'm trying to work two different devices at the same time. I'll see what I can do in reference to bringing that up. Carol's on the move. Thank you. I also saw Humongous in here. Miss Marty, you're in blue. Okay. Charlize Filson is in the building. Charlize. Looking Beyond is in the building too. Reality Wins is in the building. Nita Phillips is she's in the building. Look out. Nita's in the house. Ashley's in the house. Truth Sleuth is in the house. Okay. So 911 call is made. The mother, Amari's mother, makes the call from Colorado. Why didn't he make the call? As we proceed, you'll begin to see what I'm drawing together. The next thing you know, dispatch sends the police to their location.
Due to the mention of the paternal relative's possible involvement, the police initially thought it might have been a child custody dispute to be handled through the family court process. As a result, the Amber Alert was canceled. Taylor contacted police a second time at 2:58 p.m. in hopes of getting the Amber Alert reactivated. After a brief discussion, Taylor was told that the police were on their way to speak with her in person. At this point, Taylor and Terrell decide, for some unknown reason, that it would be a good idea to go on television and conduct a joint interview with 8 News Now.
Now, before we get to the interview, because this is the critical piece I want to share with you here from this case. The interviews are always important to go over. This is the first-hand story that is told to police at the time of filing a missing person. In this case, it's Amari. I want you to pay attention to everything that you can regarding how they tell the story, because it sets the narrative. Let's begin.
Message to the public is, we miss our baby boy, and if he's watching, mommy and daddy loves you, and we hope you get home soon and safely. To the public, just, share our posts on Facebook, share the news reports, and try to get the word out and his picture around, and keep on a lookout to be able to find, where he is, and to be able to bring him home back safe and sound. My mom got attacked by a dog and it chewed her tendon in her ankle, so she had to have 2 hours of surgery and over 60 stitches. So she was crippled, not able to walk. So I left on Friday to go to help take care of her, and I had only been gone 4 days before I woke up to a phone call saying my son was gone. And when I found that out, I hopped in the car and drove 2.5 hours to get to the airport, since it's a small little country city, and hopped on the next plane and landed in Vegas around 2:30, and then that's when the search was able to happen. I had called police at 7 in the morning to be able to report him as the missing child, and the responders came out, and one called and spoke to me over the phone, the other talked to my boyfriend about the situation of what happened, and they had a misunderstanding and canceled the search, and so my son was missing for 8 hours with nobody looking for him. And then when I came in town and they were finally able to speak to me is when they finally were able to report him as missing. And they've searched everything and trying to do what they can. We just wish it was, a little bit more.
From my knowledge, I was already notified that somebody would be coming over, but I didn't think when, I didn't know when, I didn't expect when, and then when somebody did come, they notified themselves as my girlfriend, baby daddy's sister, and they said they was here to pick up Amari, and notified me that it was already prearranged. So, from my understanding, from already being told by my girlfriend that somebody would be over, I wasn't told who, I wasn't told when, but I still had that in the back of my mind. So when that person knocked on the door, that's what my mind recommended right back to. So that's who I thought was there to pick up Amari. And as I'm finna call my girlfriend and pack his bag at the same time, she says that they already got everything that they need for him, and I don't need to pack anything. He'll be fine. And she recollected and she proceeded out the door. And as I'm on the phone trying to call my girlfriend, my last look of her, it was just walking down the stairs. So I closed the door and I started calling my girlfriend over and over until she answered the phone and asked her, was anybody supposed to come that day to pick up Amari? And she said no. I said the lady just came to the door, says that she's her baby daddy's sister, and they just picked up Amari. And she started freaking out. That's when I ran out the door and immediately start combing the area, looking around, see what I can. And I ain't see nothing. Bring our son back wherever you at. Bring him back like immediately.
It's disgusting. I mean, he's a helpless 2-year-old. He's tiny and can't fight back. He doesn't know where he's at, doesn't know where mommy and daddy are, because we're the only 2 people that he knows. And he needs medicine. He's scared. He doesn't know who these people are. And we just asked to bring him back safe and sound because he doesn't deserve this. This is not okay.
And what's really sickening is that people is making assumptions, thinking that I have something to do with it, that I have her manipulated in some way, which that's sickening to me also, because he love us. I mean, we ain't never do nothing like that to him. Apparently not now.
We didn't ever do anything like that to him. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a glimpse as to what we're getting into tonight. I thank you all for joining us. We're doing a behavioral analysis on a missing person, Sebastian Rogers, 15, child that has autism or who is autistic, who went missing from out of his house. Part 1 of our steps tonight. What was the result in the Amari Nicholson case? How did that case go? Let's See if I can get it. And here we go. Not long after, these were the results.
Right now, you are looking at video showing the arrest of Terrell Rhodes by Metro Police for the murder of 2-year-old Amari Nicholson. A tragic ending to a story that we've been following for nearly a week. Thanks for joining us here at 6 o'clock. I'm Denise Valdez.
And I'm Brian Loftus. The I-Team broke the story just a couple of hours ago that the mother's boyfriend confessed to killing the little boy. Now, we have team coverage tonight. Joe Moeller spoke with the family earlier on today. Let's begin with Vanessa Murphy, who was at the Metro Police press conference about an hour ago. Vanessa?
Denise and Brian, well, as you mentioned, sources tell me Terrell Rhodes confessed to killing 2-year-old Amari Nicholson, and they are searching for the child's body. Now, we also learned just a short while ago here at this press conference that when police went to arrest Rhodes, according to Metro, he took an officer's gun after fighting with them. Now he is in custody at the Clark County Detention Center. He faces charges for murder and will face additional charges for that incident with police. Now, this is 2-year-old Amari. He was first reported missing on May 5th. Rhodes is Amari's mother's boyfriend. Police say it was clear early on the circumstances were suspicious and Rhodes was their primary suspect. Rhodes and Amari's mother talked to 8 News Now's Joe Moeller on Friday. Rhodes claimed a woman took Amari from where they were staying at the Emerald Suites on Paradise and Twain while the mother was in Colorado.
What's really sickening is that people is making assumptions, thinking that I have something to do with it, that I have her manipulated in some way, which that's sickening to me also, because he loves us. We never do nothing like that to him.
I called Amari's mother, Taylor Nicholson, yesterday when I started to ask her about Rhodes' story. The call abruptly ended. Now, again, police have not found Amari's body, and they are asking anyone with information to come forward. Reporting live, Vanessa Murphy, 8 News Now.
Vanessa, thanks for that. Joe Moeller has been following this story all week. He was with the family earlier today. He reached out to them after news of the arrest and continues our team coverage now. Joe?
That's right. We were with Amari's family side on his biological dad's side of the family earlier on today after news of Terrell Rhodes' arrest broke out. We tried to reach out to them, but as you can imagine, they are upset and are not responding to our calls. We were outside the Emerald Suites. I'll give you a live look here at this hour. We have seen some police coming through here. There's a beefed up presence of security guards here at this complex, and we have been seeing people from this neighborhood come by and drop off candles and even a little teddy bear out front. Now, the aunts have been out helping look for Amari for days now. News Now has been covering this case since we learned the 2-year-old was missing, as Vanessa just mentioned. I spoke to Amari's mom and her boyfriend on Friday. Rhodes told me that someone from the toddler's father's side of the family picked him up. That family denied that happened all along. There was missing parts of his story. He did not provide a description of the person who picked up Amari. He also said when that person picked him up, they left so quick he could not get to them. Amari's mother stood by what Rhodes was saying during that interview. Now, back at here live, I did speak to a woman who lives here in this complex in the Emerald Suites. She was one of those people who had the police knocking on her door as they were searching for Amari, trying to figure out where exactly he was. She said she was saddened to hear about what happened and hear about this arrest. This is the outcome that nobody wants to hear, but the search is continuing for Amari's body. As soon as we learn more about this, we'll be sure to pass it on.
Okay. As you can see, the tables turn quickly. Now the person that we saw in the interview is now responsible for what happened to Amari. Little 2-year-old Amari went missing. He calls the girlfriend who's in Colorado. She calls the police, not him. She called twice, as we heard. What did he do? What did he do? I'll tell you what he did. Matter of fact, I'll show you what he did. Just get it queued up here. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me. And we got 233 people in the chat tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome. Just setting up our next piece because this does come to an end.
A man pleads guilty to killing a toddler. It's a case which struck a chord with many viewers as our 8 News Now investigators uncovered more.
8 News Now, the only local TV station in court to bring you this latest update. Vanessa Murphy has more from the Regional Justice Center in downtown Las Vegas.
This is a case which many hoped would have a different outcome. A child was reported missing, then this turned into a murder case. Now, nearly 3 years later, the killer admitted in open court he murdered the child.
How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty. 30-year-old Terrell Rhodes in court Thursday pleading guilty to first-degree murder and assault on a protected person with a deadly weapon. That's after he lied in May of 2021 during the search for 2-year-old Amari Nicholson, his girlfriend's son, who he had been babysitting.
What's really sickening is that people is making assumptions, thinking that I have something to do with it, that I have her manipulated in some way, which that's sickening to me also because he loves us.
Rhodes confessed to police a couple of days later, saying he hit Amari numerous times, causing his death, and then buried the child's body near the Emerald Suites here on Paradise. And then during an interview with detectives, he pulls a loaded gun out of Detective Opaldeed's holster. After a struggle,
I'm resisting. Grab the cop's gun. Will you relax?
Rhodes is restrained and taken to jail.
Are you Mr. Rhodes?
Amari's mother, Taylor Nicholson, spoke with the 8 News Now investigators after Rhodes' first court appearance.
I had trust in him, and I would have never fathomed that this would have been the outcome. It's horrible.
Do you have any questions you'd like to ask me before I go ahead and accept your plea? Okay.
Through his guilty plea, Rhodes could face 20 years to life in prison for the murder charge, 1 to 6 for grabbing the detective's gun.
Is it yummy?
All after he took the life of a toddler who many hoped would be found safe and alive. Rhodes is scheduled to be sentenced on July 30th. Vanessa Murphy, 8 News Now.
Killing a toddler.
That was the result of the Amari Nicholson case. Very sad outcome. But hence, we see the process unfold, as we will see in the Sebastian Rogers case. Now, it's at the beginning stages. The police are investigating. They're out there. They're doing their due diligence. I do have my thoughts about it. I will share with you later on in the live. You may want to stick around for that. But I wanted to give you an example of just a case reminiscent of this one. I deeply pray that Sebastian is alive. I don't want the outcome to be like this. All right, let's get to the next piece. Give me a moment. Okay. Doesn't have to happen. It doesn't ever have to happen. But sometimes it does. And then we get to another case. One, I believe, and I know that everyone is familiar with. One that I know will strike a chord with everyone. In studying the Amari Nicholson case, and I thank you, Bossman Blake, he brought Amari to my attention. And Amari's case helped me to identify a lot during that time what I should be looking at. I'm going to share with you now a similarity or a similar pattern based on a narrative that the public is told. The question is always, what happened? The answer will blow your mind. The next case up. Classic and sincere. Jacqueline and Giselle West. Their first interview as to what happened to the boys. And we're studying the narrative and parental behavior during the time of telling their story.
We just want to thank everyone in the community for all the support we've seen. We've felt so helpless, and seeing everybody out here really looking and helping out really means a lot.
So tell us what happened the night the kids went missing.
Okay.
From our yard.
Okay. It was cold. I was gonna make a fire. It's a lot of wood in this area right here next to our house. I opened up the back gate. I'm throwing wood, bringing it inside the house. My wife's inside. She was actually wrapping gifts, so we thought it was a good idea that our youngest two would go outside and play with chalk on the back patio. Do not let them go on the dirt in the backyard and keep them close. So I was playing with chalk, and I came in the house. I saw them there. I went in the house. I came back out. I didn't see them there. I immediately went back in, asked my wife, did you see the boys? She said, no, they should be outside playing with chalk. I said, well, I didn't see them. So I came back outside and I started searching my backyard. I searched the whole thing. I realized that I left the gate open and I panicked, came inside the house, searched the house, me and my wife. Once that hadn't panned out, I got in the van. I looked down the street, both directions. It was getting dark, getting cold, and I got in the van and I hit a bunch of corners. I went down this street. I turned my light on. I searched. I called their names. Talked to a gentleman on the street on the other side over there. He didn't see me. So then I came home and I told my wife we need to call the cops. It's getting dark and I need help. We got to get going. So I called the cops. Cops came. First thing they did was tell us to stay in the house so they can get a hold of us. And they had us just sitting there, and we wanted to keep searching. But everybody came out in droves, and I wanted to thank you guys that night, but we couldn't go outside.
The cops told us the best are out here.
The best are out here searching, and we appreciate it. And nobody ever could tell, we could never talk to anybody, and that was the issue.
We just want to thank everybody.
We really want to thank you guys.
Please, if anybody has seen them, please call, let somebody know.
Call the cops. Call California's the city police department. Call them and let them know what you've seen, if you see anything. Our boys, they are going to be rambunctious, okay? They are going to be here in this area. And I really would like to go in the houses but it's not because I want to invade people's privacy. I just want to know if make sure. That's it. Because I don't. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. If you got any questions.
Oh no, you're good.
Oh, okay.
I was just gonna say, this is the first time we're hearing from you guys, and I can't imagine what you guys are going through. I can't even fathom it. For you guys, for people who are thinking that there's some kind of foul play involved, we just spoke to the biological mother. She says she had a conversation with you guys, and that she thinks there's some kind of foul play involved. That she thinks you guys did something.
And that's understandable.
What's your response to that?
That's understandable. I would think the same thing.
Yep.
I mean, that's exactly the point. And if we can find our babies, then guess what? That's no. And that's all I want is to find our babies. That's it. And I talked to her this morning, and I really wanted to tell her that I am completely sorry because we were entrusted with her children, and they came to us, and they became our children. We named them, and they are our children, and so we want them back. So please, if y'all could get back on what you guys are doing, we should be able to get a hold of somebody, but they took all of our tech, so they wanted to, I guess, just rule us out, which makes sense. That's part of the investigation. So that's pretty much it.
Have you guys, you talked to the police all last night?
Yes.
So you guys willfully gave them your
Everything.
technology,
Yes.
the car.
Yes.
How did they get a search warrant? Did you
I
guys?
don't see why they got one, but they got one.
Yeah,
we would have
they
let them
didn't
take
need one,
anything.
but-
We would have let them take everything. We let them come in and search with us. We asked them to come do that.
What did they take?
Just tech. And that's it. Like our phones.
From the house, though, did they?
Oh, well, I guess, should I answer that?
Answer it does, yeah.
Okay. So into the okay, and I guess I don't even know.
I see. Yeah, we seriously felt like we needed to be out here. We did. Again, we were told the best are out here looking already. Just to stay put, they have more questions. There was literally a cop with us the whole time in there.
He had sitting down. We would ask him to go help. They had to sit
He
down.
said nope.
He said, no, we got the best out there.
So
we
it's
need
not,
you guys here in case we have more questions.
I don't want you guys thinking we didn't try. We actually looked
tried.
before we called the police.
Yes.
And I imagine the mind-boggling part is the search for information. What happened? Where are they?
Yes.
Et cetera, et cetera.
And
and just so we are able to present the information correctly, at what time did you guys notice your kids went missing? And at what time were they reported missing to the police?
It's about, I think it was about 4:30, going on 5. It was getting dark, like I said.
5-ish.
5-ish. That's about it. That's when everything played out.
And then when did you guys call the police to report them missing?
After we searched
Yeah.
a little bit around here, it was dark, so we definitely we got worried.
Would you say it was maybe within an hour, a couple hours?
No, it was within minutes of us getting finished with our search.
Okay.
It was within minutes.
What do you guys want people at home to understand about this situation? For them, even speaking about what you guys are feeling is difficult. What do you want them at home to understand about this whole situation?
We're going through it. It's difficult. I mean, everybody's making their own their own conclusions. They don't know anything. We're not sure like everything. We're not sure. We said what we knew, and if anybody has seen them or anything, please call the police department.
Would you be willing to provide pictures, or do you have any?
I have older pictures. All my newest were on my phone.
Okay.
a lot of people are speaking of this as, after the math, past tense. I want to talk about your kids in present tense. What kind of boys are these? Tell us about the boys.
Very playful, very rambunctious, and they do love to wrestle. They do love to kind of get rough with each
They're
other.
kids.
They're kids. Of course, they would love to go out, but so during the pandemic, we wasn't trying to go, out here. And so we stayed inside.
Did you guys ever go out and search?
Yes, we did. We searched before we called the cops. That's what we were saying.
What time did they come up missing?
They came missing right before it got dark. And then we called. I searched the property. I even drove around this neighborhood right here. I even talked to a gentleman on that side, one of those streets over there. I said, "Did you see some little black kids?" And that way looking for them. That's the way I was gonna come. But when I came back home, I decided to call the cops because it was dark. They couldn't have got away that fast.
And why did it take two people to go in the house and leave two kids out here by themselves? It should have been one parent going in and one parent right here watching the child, not two parents going in the house and leaving two little kids out here by themselves for 10 minutes.
No, they were in the backyard, and the back gate was open.
Out the backyard.
And the back gate was open, and I was getting wood from this lot here.
So you guys been unresponsible and left the gate open, left some little kids outside with the gate open.
All right. Sorry, you guys were talking about your boys who you're, I understand. For a mother's intuition, I know you were saying, and we'll get your names after this, but you were saying how you feel like they're in this area. Do you feel the same way? And what is the intuition? What is the sense you get? What do you think happened to your boys? Do you think someone took them? Do you think they're lost? Do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely know they're not walking around. They're not that kind. They do not just roam around. These patches. They definitely, I think definitely would have been picked up or something.
That was my assumption.
Have they ever taken off of the yard before?
No.
They've never taken off?
No.
And we also know the outcome to that case. But the interviews are so important. Body language, breathing, words. Critical, especially in the first few hours of an interview, the beginning stages of a child that's gone missing. I wanted to share with you at least two case comparisons here, so that now we can walk through where we are with the Sebastian Rogers case. Much love to everyone who has joined this chat tonight, this live with John Q. And each and every single one of these cases touches me. It enrages me sometimes to hear the story, the narrative, if you will, only to find out in a relatively shorter period of time that the story begins to change and things begin to look different than the narrative that began the story. Yes, thank you, Marty. Yes, please hit the like if you haven't. All right. Let me do one more. Let me just do one more with you. Because it builds where we're heading. Also, tonight, I'm giving you some work. That's the reason for tonight's live. Giving you some work so that you can lay your eyes on what I see. And what I look for. Intuitively, what anyone would look for, the child went missing. And now someone is telling you what happened. And so we pay careful attention to every detail that we can find, especially as content creators doing this kind of work. Now, I bring to you the next one, and then we will get into Sebastian's case.
First question is if I can have your last name and spell them both out for me.
Okay. Jennifer Soto, JENNIFER SOTO.
Mother. Jennifer, tell me how you feeling right now.
I feel like I can't breathe. All I keep thinking about is, where is she? Is she safe? Is she okay? But we're all a wreck. My entire family is a mess. We're just so worried.
When did you first realize, or when did you file a missing report?
We filed a missing report. We called the police at like 4:45 yesterday, 4:45 p.m. But she actually went missing early that morning, around between 8:45 and 9 o'clock in the morning. She went missing. We had dropped her off close to the school. She wanted to walk the rest of the way. Sorry. That should be it. Sorry about that. We dropped her off at school, close to school. She wanted to walk the rest of the way. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to share.
You share whatever you feel comfortable sharing. I know you had conversations with detectives. Not sure what that conversation is, but whichever you feel comfortable sharing, that we'll put the awareness out there.
Yeah, she was spotted walking by the church, by the middle school, on the cameras. They saw her hang out in the parking lot for a little bit and then get up and leave. They didn't see a vehicle or anything else. They just saw her walk away around 9 a.m. heading towards the school, but she never made it.
What has the school said? Have you get in contact with the school?
Yes, that they're doing everything they can. They've given me all their resources. The principals called me. They've looked at their cameras. I don't think they've caught anything on the cameras is too far away from the sidewalk. Everything is too grainy, so they can't see specific faces. But they've looked. I'm just waiting to hear anything else from them.
Is this normal behavior?
Not at all.
To just not show up or call or text or anything?
Not at all, no. She, from time to time, she will leave her.
And it's very important as you continue to watch nuances, because everything tells. Eyes, eyebrows, forehead, lips, neck, breathing, body posture. Everything. We can gather so much nonverbal information. This is, well, from what I've been told, this is what I'm good at. And in these interviews, you see a lot of it. It's a pattern. We talk about Amari Nicholson, all of their stress cues. That's what I call them, stress cues during an interview. We saw it in Trezell and Jacqueline West's interview, stress cues all over the place. Hands, arms folded across his body. Her waving, wiggling in the background. Nervous tension in the voice. Confused part of the time, but yet trying to tell you a story half of the time. And in Jennifer Soto's case, you see the pattern emerge again.
Her cell phone at home accidentally, and that's actually what happened yesterday. She left her phone at home. She went to school. But that happens from time to time. She's got ADHD, her memory. She's very forgetful. So yeah, there's no way to track her right now because the detectives don't have her phone. But this isn't normal behavior now.
What was the last thing, I guess, the conversation that you two had, you and your daughter?
We spoke about her birthday party. She had a birthday party on Sunday. She had a great time. I couldn't make it because I was working, but she had an amazing time. She was so happy with all her gifts. I told her good night, and yeah, that was it. I was the one who took her to school in the morning. That was my partner. But yeah.
13.
Also, breathing patterns between commentary. Extremely telltale signs. High stress, anxiety, eyes shifting, trying to walk you through their narrative. You'll see it in every single interview. I've seen it. I know Justin has seen it. I know Boss has seen it. 54 Keys has seen it. Amanda's seen it. Brittany's seen it. Mark has seen it. Cher has seen it. And we see these same patterns show up whenever they do these lives. Interviews with news reporters wanting to get the facts. Let's continue.
She's 13 years old. Yes.
13, Madeline. What are you thinking right now?
In my heart, I feel like somebody took her. This isn't like her to just pick up and run away, or just not go to school. I don't know what to think.
Friends, the friends' parents, you've contacted and went through every single person?
Everyone that we know that she knows, we've contacted them all, reached out to them. The parents have gone out to search and look for her as well. And we haven't come up with anything yet.
I've seen a lot of posts on Facebook, Hunters Creek rants and raves and what have you. Did people say that they were going to conduct some type of like search party or anything?
A lot of people have asked me to volunteer, like if there is one, if they can do one. I have people passing out flyers, going to every store in that vicinity, a gas station, church. I think people were being stopped in the street this morning in front of the school to see if they've seen anything, if they've heard anything. My family they're going all out right now. Yeah.
I know as a mother, a lot is going on in your brain.
So much.
To bring her back home. What have the law enforcement told you that you are able to share?
I mean, that they're doing the best they can. They've had detectives come out, interview us. They took a piece of her clothing for the canine dog to see if they can sniff her out. I'm not sure when that's being done.
Do you have any inkling where she possibly could be? Like if you would say, okay, last time I went to work and came back, she was at James' house or Sabrina's house, and maybe
you can see her listening to the question and absolutely shaking to death here. And this is a very important tell during the interviewing process. It's critical because as the questions continue, the anxiety and the tension builds. This is what we look for as content creators in listening to these interviews and getting the facts from a different source.
Yeah, I forgot to check that house, or she played at this park one week and maybe she went back there or something like that.
We've looked everywhere we could have thought, and anywhere she would have been. She would have known to wait for me at the school. But we did check where if she could have walked. My mom's office is close to the school. We checked there. We checked the walking paths that she could have taken. We've checked all of her friend's house. I think we've checked everywhere I could think of, honestly.
What do you think? Oh gosh, I just had to tip my tongue. What was she wearing?
She was last seen wearing a green hoodie, black shorts, white Crocs, a black JanSport backpack with gray hibiscus flowers on it.
And you said this is not like her.
Not at all.
To run away, an argument, anything like that to provoke her?
She's never done anything like this, no. And we haven't had any arguments recently to have this outcome.
What school?
Hunters Creek Middle School.
Tom, any questions? No. Is there anything that you think our viewers would need to know about the way you're feeling, the way the family's feeling, Madeline?
We are desperate for any answers, anything that you could do to help. I'm here for it. Just please, if you see my daughter, just please bring her home. I just hope you're okay, Maddie. I hope you're safe. I hope you're not hurt. I just hope she's okay.
When did you notice that she was missing? Because this was at the beginning of the morning.
She got dropped off in the morning. We did not notice until after school pickup at 4 o'clock when I went to go pick her up, and she wasn't at school.
So we're going in 24 hours now.
Yeah.
Just about.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing. No word. No text message. No messages anywhere from her. I've looked at all her social medias. I've looked at all her games she could have played with. Any app. No weird conversations. Nothing strange. Everything was conversations with just normal friends or us.
She knows how to get home by herself, as if, like, let's just say, take a bus or an Uber or something like that. She would know how to get home alone, correct?
I'm not sure. I don't know if she would know how to get home. Maybe, I mean, I'm thinking if someone got in the car with her and if she pointed the way, what roads, she probably could figure out how to get, but like, does she know our full address? I don't think she does.
Which would give me it just puts in my brain that she always comes home with someone.
She always comes home with me.
There's no need for her to really learn. Okay. And you said no time? I think that was everything. All right, the first question.
Okay. In studying Jennifer Soto's body language essence during this interview, what did you pick up? What did you see? Do you see what I see? These interviews are powerful, especially when the right questions are asked. Move on to further into this interview to Stephen Stearns himself, sitting there beside Jennifer, knowing. And these people are bold when they do these interviews, knowing the truth. But yet they want to play a narrative. They want to tell you their truth. They want to impose upon you what their truth is all about. Only shortly thereafter to find an entirely different fact or group of facts that leads to these children going missing. And it's closer to home than you think. Let's take a look at his interview briefly, and then we're going to move on.
Questions, if I can get your first and last name and spell them both out for me.
Stephen Stearns, STEPHAN
All right, so Stephen, you seem very emotional right now. Explain to us.
I dropped her off. Everything looked fine when I drove away. It's the last time we saw her.
What were the conversations that y'all had in the car when you dropped her off?
Not much. She was asleep for most of the way. Told her have a good day at school when she got out. I love her. She said thanks, love you too. That was it.
If you notice, when he answers, the eyes go down. That's called a communication breakaway from the eyes, eye contact. It's strong here. And I sense that when I watch this. Eyes go down, gives an answer, eyes come back up. With Jennifer, she's up in the air most of the time, a lot of the times, looking for the answer in her head, trying to remember. He knows. Why? Because the eyes go down. When the eyes go down, it's a kinesthetic reflex. He's feeling the truth, but telling a different narrative.
And so where do you think she could possibly be? I mean, this isn't, as I was told, this isn't normal behavior.
This is not normal behavior. She's not the type that would just run off. We don't know where she can be, and we're scared. We just want her home.
Are you, in a sense, blaming yourself?
It's hard not to.
Why?
I dropped her off early. I could have waited longer. She looked okay. She was walking towards the school when I saw her. It was like any other day, so I went on with my day. It's hard not to blame myself.
What has the conversation been with Jen since?
She's been a lot stronger than me. She's been holding it together really well, and but it just keeps coming in waves. Just the reality keeps hitting. And we don't know where she is. We don't know if she's safe. We're just scared. We just want her home.
Have you, like, literally put boots on the ground, went out?
Yeah, I even went out with the cops where I had dropped her off. And we looked all up and down the road, all over the communities, and there was nothing helpful. None of the cameras were pointing the street. Nothing, which in 2024 was surprising. The church across the street had some cameras, and they mentioned seeing her waiting around in the parking lot for a while before moving on, and that was it. But it was grainy. It was grainy footage, and not much else.
Does it seem like she walked west, east?
They said in the direction of the school. I'm not sure what that is.
What was the language? Not language verbally, language, body language. When you dropped her off, did she seem happy? Was she like, I'm going to meet my friends?
Happy. She had a happy weekend. She just turned 13. She had her 13th birthday party. She was happy that we were all together here, and she was just very happy. She was a happy kid. She's very sweet. She's a very sweet girl. She brings a lot of joy to us, and we just not knowing.
So the unknown is killing you.
Yeah, it's like our whole world is upside down. Not feeling her presence here is. Sorry. It's hard.
I know you're fine. Don't need to apologize. What do you want our viewers to know when they see this?
She's a sweetheart. She's a very sweet, kind girl. Just please be nice to her. Bring her home if you find her. Tell her that we love her. Wherever she is, I hope she's okay.
I mean, if someone were to come in contact with her and you gave me her diagnoses, would it be easy to approach her without any like agitation or anything?
Yeah. She's a good kid. She's a good kid.
Around.
Okay. I wanted you to capture that. As powerful as this interview was, it captures a lot of information. Hence, we now know the truth as to what happened to Meline. As unfortunate as it is, as people sit here and will try to evade the truth, to tell you their narrative. They both knew what happened. Which now brings us to why we're here. Sebastian Rogers, 15, autistic, went missing from inside the house. We know where Stephen Stearns is today, don't we? I've always said in some of these cases, more so than none, the enemy is within. And I'm not trying to paint a different picture. But what I am doing here tonight is that we're studying behavior patterns. We're doing a behavior analysis during these tense moments when children go missing and parents have to make a statement. Let us begin with the interview that took place between Chris and Katie Proudfoot. And in studying this alongside of what you've already seen, preparing you just for this interview, because now your mind is activated to look for everything that you saw in the previous interviews that I've shown you.
So first, just express, I can't even imagine as a parent what you two are going through. How would you describe the situation?
And forgive me if the volume is a little low. I was trying to give a volume boost. I've got the volume set high, so if some of it comes up low, it's just the way the interview was recorded, but the volume does come up a little bit from time to time. They are wearing microphones. A lot of content creators have gone over this interview on their channels, doing the same thing we're doing here tonight. I wanted to give you some comparisons to look for. As we begin, you know what you're looking for.
Situation right now, how are you coping?
That's how the interview starts. This is how the interview starts. And we're going to do a deep analysis on everything that's happening here in this interview. I want you to pay careful attention as best as you can to how the rhythm of this narrative is being played out, because there is a rhythm in narrative. Context is very important here. Body language is very important here. Eyes, breathing is very important here. Let's take a look.
We're on a constant roller coaster ride of helpless and hopeless and many other emotions all in one, and it's a never-ending roller coaster. It doesn't stop.
Now, she couldn't answer the question. She didn't know where to begin. She had to look at Chris for the answer. Chris now takes control of the conversation.
It won't stop until he walks through the door.
I wouldn't wish this on anyone. Not anyone.
I know we're about keeping hope alive. I'm sure that's in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna
Always.
come home.
He's going to walk through that door. And this street will be flooded again with family and relatives all waiting to hug and love him. And
That boy's gonna have more friends than he knows what to do with when he comes home.
These are nervous chuckles and an important question. So there's high tension already building in their bodies. It's a lot of rocking on her part. His breathing is starting to accelerate.
So here we are, 8 days now searching for him. Walk us through that Sunday night that he went missing. So walk us through, we've got so many people who really want to know, okay, how did this happen? So
That is the question. Walk us through what you know. Tell us, how did this happen?
kind of just walk us through that night.
We were out and about that day. We were having a really good weekend. We got home. Everything was pretty normal. He was playing in his room. When I told him to go to bed, he did.
Nervous chuckle. She never states what time they got home. Now she puts him in bed or tells him to go to bed. We had a good day. Thing was fine. We got home. And then I'm telling him to go to bed. Notice Chris begins to look in her direction. Eyes down.
He said, "Good night, Mom. I love you." Say goodnight to his puppies. A little bit later, I wound up going to bed, and when I woke him up for school, he wasn't there.
When I woke him up for school, think about the statement. When I woke him up from school, he wasn't there. How does that ring in your mind? When I woke him up for school, gives you the impression that she's looking at him when she did go to wake him up for school. And then she ends it, but he wasn't there. This is called a break in pattern. You did one thing in present time, but now you're telling us something else. Broken speech. Chris is also looking down. He's feeling something. And he'll continue to feel it because guess what he continues to do? As best that he can.
So in your mind, that's usually around what time? When do you normally wake up? Around 6 o'clock? So were you instantly thinking something's wrong, or were you like, he may just be already in the shower?
I took a
in the living
second.
room?
I took a second and walked through the house looking for him in case he'd gotten up and was trying to get breakfast or something, because he did that sometimes. About 3 minutes in, give or take, I was on the phone with my husband. I said, I can't find him. He said, what do you mean you can't find him? I said, he's not in the house.
Did you catch Chris? Let me play that again.
He said, what do you mean you can't find him? I said, he's not.
Tension is building, and he is taking a breath. Eyes are cut away from the interviewer. She can't find him. He begins to breathe.
He's not in the house. What do you mean you can't find him? I said, he's not in the house.
And so at that point,
And she begins to breathe, like she got that out.
Or something, because he did that sometimes. About 3 minutes in, give or take, I was on the phone with my husband. I said, I can't find him. He said, what do you mean you can't find him? I said, he's not in the house.
and so at that,
You can hear it. They both took breaths at the point of can't find him. This is what I call holding. Omitting, holding, deep tension. There's lots of breathing in that statement. And it didn't take but a couple of seconds between the two of them. She's answering, he's breathing. She finishes answering, she's breathing. If you caught that. I certainly did.
so at that point, is that when you call 911, or what's going through your mind?
While we were on the phone, and I was like, is he on the other side of the bed? The normal places he may be in the house, and he wasn't. So I was like, okay, well, hold on a minute. And immediately after that, we called the sheriff's department and made the report.
Immediately after that, we together makes a claim of calling the sheriff's department. I thought I saw a statement earlier that contradicts what was just said. And my eyes are between the screen and the chat, so I'm going back and forth. But yeah, he answers, watch her body language, because she's still responding, even though she's not talking. When she talks, watch his body language. Just go back and forth between the two. It's very interesting, the rhythm that's going on here.
I ran all over the house, outside, inside. I looked in every closet.
Within minutes, they were here. They responded within minutes. And
how would you know if they responded in minutes if you're at work? 3.5 hours away. How do you know that? Within minutes, they were here.
Closet.
Within minutes, they were here. They responded within minutes, and here we go.
Here we go. They responded within minutes, and here we go. Is his answer. That's a red flag to me. How would he know that? You're at your job 3.5 hours away. You're not there to give that kind of a detail. How would you know? I'm sure you caught that too.
So you said you were on the phone with her, so
Yes,
you were not home.
No, ma'am. I was at work. I'm a tower crane operator, and I was working in Memphis at the St. Jude project. So it's, you know, I have an earpiece in that talks to my phone. I have another earpiece in that does the radios. So when she was talking to me, it was like, what? I was confused. We talked about where he could possibly be, and then we went from there and led to calling the cops, and here we are now.
Within minutes, there at the home.
And here we are now, nonchalant. Look at her. That's a holding. Eyes down, lids closed almost, just about. Right after you made that statement. These are tells to me. They're strong ones.
Home.
Yes, ma'am.
It was rapid fire. They had cars.
They
They had
lied
cars from here down to
to the main
road, as far as I could tell.
You can hear the breathing again, starting to pick back up. It's almost like I want this over with. I can't bear to sit here and continue to try to explain myself or try to explain what happened. And they're not necessarily giving any kind of specific details, but their bodies are.
So what's going through both of your minds? I mean, are we panicking? Is it this, oh, I think he's probably at a neighbor's house, or what are you thinking?
My son doesn't run. He's not a runner. He's never run away before.
She's rocking. He's looking. You catch that? And I'm doing a stop start because I want you to capture everything that I'm studying. Almost as if we're looking at this together in the same room. And I'm walking you through what I see. I know you see what I see. What do you see? Is it the same? Are you picking up different signals?
I don't know why. I don't know why he walked out that door.
We got an answer. She's rocking, she's breathing. I don't know why he walked out that door. That puts her there. I don't know why he walked out that door. That is substance of knowing something. Chris is also giving her some attention.
I don't know why. I don't know why he walked out that door.
I mean, he's a good kid. He's not a mischievous child by any means. But there's answers to questions that have no answers, or questions with no answers right now that we are searching for desperately. And we just don't have that.
I don't know what happened to that video piece, but okay, that's what I was able to get so far. If anybody has that full entire interview, I'm sure it was longer than what I was able to find. I had emailed Justin to ask him earlier if he had that full interview so I can continue to study how that interview continued to go and how it was closed out. I wanted to share my thoughts with you about that. What are your thoughts? I'm sure I got your head spinning. Because when I saw that interview, it definitely spun mine. As I played to compare interviews and I went back and forth, and I'm looking for nuances of everything out of every interview, out of every tell, I said, okay, now let me watch their interview. And as I do, how am I reacting to what they're telling me? I'm the interviewer. I'm asking their questions and I'm listening to their answers, just as we did here tonight. But there is a powerful interview, and we're going to get ready to wrap up in a little bit. But there is a very powerful interview that I'm going to share with you to where it was a whole lot more in terms of questions being asked, a whole lot more answers coming out of the interviews. And I'm sure the content creators that have been covering this case have played this interview over and over a number of times. I certainly did. But now I want you to see it with me. I'm going to walk through specific points in the interview because it was brilliantly done by none other than Nancy Grace, who get right down to the details and the facts. And as we go through this together, I want you to watch them again as carefully as you can, because there is some picture shifting between Nancy and Chris and Katie. Let's begin.
February 26th, Monday morning, 6 a.m. From everything we can tell, that is the moment that Sebastian's mom and stepdad realize he's gone. For just one moment, imagine that. You go in your child's room where you find your child every single school day morning and you wake them up, but at 6 a.m., he's not there. Can you imagine what must have gone through their minds? First of all, I want you to hear what his bio mom, Katie Proudfoot, says. Listen.
When I woke him up for school, he wasn't there. I took a second and walked through the house looking for him in case he'd gotten up and was trying to get breakfast or something, because he did that sometimes. About 3 minutes in, give or take, I was on the phone with my husband. I said, I can't find him. He said, what do you mean you can't find him? I said, he's not in the house.
Can't find him. Where is he? And in the last days, we learned that the official law enforcement search is actually scaling back. This as TikTokers and YouTubers are flooding the area, conducting their own searches. Listen to Eric Craddock, Chief Deputy, Sumner County Sheriff's.
Really wanted to come to the community and ask for your help. We need you to search your properties every day, morning and night. If there's a shed or a crawl space or up under your mobile home or a tarp that's in your yard, check it every morning and check it every night. Look for any details that something has been disturbed. If there's a shirt that was there today that wasn't there yesterday, notify us. You can really help us by searching your own property twice a day. Like I said, we're operating under the assumption that Sebastian walked off, and we really need your help to ensure that he is brought home safely.
We are trying to determine what happened when this young boy, an autistic young boy, seemingly walks out of his own home in the middle of the night, we think, barefoot. How did that happen? I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us here at Crime Stories and on SiriusXM 111. We've read a lot online. We've seen a lot of theories, a lot of speculation. But let's start with what we know to be true. Joining me right now, an all-star panel. But first, I'm going to go to two special guests joining us, Katie and Chris Proudfoot. This is Sebastian's biological mother and his stepfather, who were in their home with Sebastian when he goes missing. To both of the Proudfoots, thank you for being with us. I want to go straight back to when Sebastian goes missing. Miss Proudfoot, I understand that the day before, which would have been Sunday, if I've got the information correct, that you guys went out, you went to dinner, you went to somewhere, I believe you said BJ's, where he had a, quote, colossal popcorn. Then you came home that night, and around 9 p.m., you tell Sebastian to go to bed. He says, okay, and goes to his room. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That night, I understand from previous statements you've made that you went to bed around midnight. Is that correct?
It is.
If you notice now, the previous interview, it wasn't a yes or no. They weren't close-ended questions. Were open-ended questions. So as we go through this, you'll notice the question patterns between close-ended questions that require yes or no. Open-ended questions require an explanation. We'll see how much they explain, because Nancy knows how to do it. And I picked up the essence of how Nancy did this interview. She did it brilliantly, as if she was in court with them, if anyone has picked up on that. They're on the stand, and she's asking very direct, pointed questions. And she does a combo to include both. And then she goes singular to include one or the other. And then she comes back to include both again. It's amazing on how she did this. But much love for folks like Nancy Grace to have taken the time out of her schedule to cover this important interview on this case that's being investigated right now. So let's get to it.
And to you, Mr. Proudfoot, Chris Proudfoot, did you also go to bed at midnight, or before or after?
No, ma'am. We went to bed around the same time as we were on the phone together.
And
He was not home.
please excuse any of my questions. I'm simply trying to find out more about that night. Do you two sleep in the same bedroom?
He wasn't actually in the home at all that weekend.
You were not home.
No,
okay.
ma'am.
So where were you, Mr. Proudfoot?
I was in Memphis, Tennessee.
How far away is that?
3 hours and 37 minutes from doorstep to doorstep.
And what were you doing in Memphis?
Working.
Where do you work?
I'm currently working, or was working, at the St. Jude Children's Hospital construction project.
Yes, I'm very familiar with St. Jude's.
It's very specific in terms of distance and travel time. 3 hours and 37 minutes from door to door. Keep that in mind. It's a very specific time. About an hour, about 3 hours and a half, give or take, depending on traffic. Could have been an answer. Round about 3 hours or so, give or take. This is very specific.
You said you were working there. Are you no longer working there?
Right now, that's up in the air.
Well, you've been gone ever since Sebastian went missing. So I understand. When you are home, do you two sleep in the same bedroom?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this a 3-bedroom home?
Yes, ma'am.
Where is your room as it relates to Sebastian's room?
It's on the opposite end of the house.
Notice he takes control. She could have answered, but she said nothing. So he is the one explaining the details to Nancy.
The master bedroom's on one side, and the other 2 bedrooms are on the other side of the house.
Okay, so your master bedroom is on one side of the house and Sebastian's room is on the other side of the house. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Notice they answered together. There's a rhythm. So far, so good. That's a positive. They answered together.
Now, you have a 3rd bedroom that I believe you keep for your other daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Notice she didn't answer.
Is that Faith? Is your other daughter named Faith?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So where is Faith's bedroom as it relates to Sebastian's bedroom?
It's in the back side of the house. Sebastian's bedroom is
So
on the
it's-
front side of the house.
Okay. So his bedroom is away from Faith's bedroom and away from your master bedroom. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is Sebastian's room on a top floor or a ground level?
We have a ranch style house. It's a 1.5 story. So everything's flat, and then you have the bonus room above the garage.
Okay. So his is on ground floor, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That morning, was there any sign of a break-in through a window, a front door, a back door, a sliding glass door, anything at all?
No, ma'am.
Okay. No sign of
Now notice she answers.
forced entry. Was anything taken from the home at all?
Not that we could find anything. We couldn't find anything missing.
I want to circle back to Sebastian's shoes regarding if anything was missing. Do you have a burglar alarm?
No, ma'am.
She answered. He didn't. He would know he lives there. He would have known. He should have answered in the affirmative, but he didn't.
Do you have a Ring doorbell cam?
No, ma'am.
She answers. He doesn't.
Okay. Have the two of you taken a polygraph?
I have.
I have not.
Would you be willing to?
I've offered and volunteered on many occasions to take a polygraph, and I was told directly by law enforcement because of my whereabouts, I did not need one.
I understand.
Because of his whereabouts, he didn't need one. Now watch how Nancy comes right around the corner. Doesn't say specifically who. TBI told me that. The sheriff told me that. One of the lead investigators told me that. Nothing specific, so we're getting specific and non-specific answers. He can be vague, and then he can be a little specific. This is what I call a holding pattern here. or holding language, if you will. I'll give you a little bit, but the rest is mine.
I understand. Miss Proudfoot, did you pass your polygraph?
I did.
Those questions out of the way. Was Faith in the home when Sebastian went missing?
No, ma'am.
Notice they answered together. This is critical because now Nancy's beginning to build. Notice she came off the polygraph and now she's going directly to Chris because that would have been a question more for him. Then again, could have been for her too, but they both answered.
Does anyone else have a key to your home beside your immediate family?
No.
No, ma'am.
That night, Miss Proudfoot, at midnight when you went to bed, what did you do until midnight?
I had been reading a chapter that I needed to, and I had been talking to my husband on the phone. I was falling asleep.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Justin. That was a very good point. Very good point. For them not to have security in their home. And she works for a security firm, security company that does what? Install, as a technician, security components. Now think about that. Justin, thank you. It's a very good point. How does one own a home, have a child, beautiful home too? We went over the layout in several of the lives that we were able to cover with Justin and Brittany and Mandy. Beautiful. With no security cameras, no security system, nothing to alert, to protect your asset. It's interesting. Very interesting. So let's go back. Thank you. I'll tell you, technology works.
Does anyone else have a key to your home beside your immediate family?
No.
No, ma'am.
That night, Miss Proudfoot, at midnight when you went to bed, what did you do until midnight?
I had been reading a chapter that I needed to, and I had been talking to my husband on the phone. I was falling asleep on him, so that's when he told me it was around midnight. He told me to go ahead and put the dogs up and go to bed. And
He told me to put the dogs up and go to bed. He's telling her to put the dogs up and go to bed because she was falling asleep on him. Oh my goodness. So you see, in essence, there's essence here. Who's in control?
what I did, I got up, put the dogs where they sleep, and then I myself went to bed.
Where do they sleep?
They have a big pen.
A pen, is it inside or outside?
Inside.
Inside. That reminds me of another question. Do you guys have a motion sensor light or lights on the outside of your house?
Yes, we do have lights on the outside of our house.
Did they activate that night?
They're not motion censored.
Now,
we have lights.
Were they on that?
But that was the question. That was the question. Yes, we have lights, but they're not motion censored. He's very slow. Holding. No. Wait a minute. I can give her a little bit more. No, they're not motion censored. So she's watching and listening to everything. And it's funny. It's very funny.
On that night?
No,
Okay.
ma'am.
Were they on that night? So the lights were out the whole night?
Yes, ma'am. We don't typically turn the floodlights on.
Were there any lights outside the house on at all?
Just my little solar lights that we have in the garden.
There's
Yep.
2 lights on the side of the house above the garage that are on at all times.
Oh, yeah, those are on.
Oh, there's a light above the garage that's on at all times?
There's 2. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So those lights were on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is because
Wait a minute. What did he just say?
it's on at all times.
There's 2. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So those lights were on?
Yes, ma'am.
So those lights were on? Yes, ma'am. Are y'all catching this? Once again, how would you know if they were on that night if you were at work? How would you know?
Okay. The reason I'm asking is because I heard you say earlier, Mr. Proudfoot, that your neighbors have been very, very forthcoming with their Ring camera info. And I was trying to determine if any lights were on, what, if anything, they may have caught. But I understand from your previous interviews that nothing of any evidentiary value was caught. And also, in another statement you gave, I understand that the video of the 2 flashlights, and I'm saying that with air quotes, that's not exactly what that was at all. We now don't believe that 2 flashlights were observed around your home. Is that correct?
You're very correct.
Okay.
Now they both answer in the affirmative together. This is interesting when you can break it up, slow it down, and take your time to process the question and the answer in the interview. And this is very important because it goes to building context. And as you can see, Nancy is writing as she's asking these questions. That's what I do. So she's doing it. She's doing the thing right here. Okay? Lights were on, but how would he know? How would he know that? Was he there to know that the lights were on? How would he know that? If she gets up at 6 a.m. to wake Sebastian up to go to school Monday morning, because that's what she normally does, we're getting there, folks. We're getting there.
Okay. Question regarding your vehicles. Ms. Proudfoot, what make and model do you drive?
I drive a Infinity SUV.
Year?
2017.
And sir, what do you drive?
I drive a diesel truck, Chevrolet.
Year?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it's a 2021, I think.
So
you saw the drag in that answer. I'm not sure, 2021, I think. Not sure. Being not sure of the vehicle that you drive. Come on now. I can ask anybody in this chat, which there are 415 people in this live tonight. what car do you drive? And you can tell me right offhand everything about your car. Not look up in the sky and, well, let me see. I think, I'm not sure. What year? I'm not sure. It's a slow drag. He's controlling his answer. That's a control point to me. When you're doing that, you're being reluctant to giving a straightforward answer. Nancy is she's handling it though. And she's, relaxing in between, and then her questions begin to shift. Notice she went from the lights in the house to what they drive. But yeah, you would know what year, make, and model your car is. Look anybody in the face and tell them straight out. So I wanted to point out that was a slow drag, a slow hold to a slow release on that information. And this to me is a reluctancy to give point.
Your Infinity SUV was parked in the garage or outside the garage that night, Miss Proudfoot?
In the garage.
In the garage. And Mr. Proudfoot, your vehicle was on location in Memphis. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So there's only one car at the home. Is that right?
There was actually a work vehicle in the driveway at the time as well, but it hasn't moved. We can't give out that information because we don't have permission from her work.
There's a work vehicle in the driveway, but yet he's answering. She's not. It's her work vehicle. She should be answering that question. But yet he's answering. This is very specific here because there are answers he's going to give Nancy, and there are answers she's not going to give Nancy. You see the rhythm going back and forth? Let's continue.
I don't understand that. What?
About the make and model of the vehicle.
I have a work van that was also parked in the driveway.
Now she comes up with her side of it when she should have done that when Nancy asked. That's what I call rhythm. And this is broken rhythm here. When you sense broken rhythm, you automatically get a sense of holding. It's like poker, folks. There's a hand to hold and a hand to fold and then the hand to call. Just think of it that way and keep that metaphor in your head as we proceed through this. Because I'm walking you through this specifically the way I am so that you see what I see. You hear what I am hearing as well.
Driveway.
Why is that? If it's out in the driveway where people can see it, why is that privileged information?
We just don't have permission from her company to divulge that information.
Have you?
Okay, so it must be a commercial vehicle, being that it's a vehicle that is work related, that probably has a name tag on it in some way, shape, or form, and yet here's the reluctancy again. Here's the holding. We can't give you that information because we don't have permission from her company to divulge that information. Who's answering, him or her? See? All right. I want you to put that rhythm piece in there so that you can see the ebb and flow between the two.
Have you asked?
No, ma'am, we have not.
Yet they didn't ask. You can't make this stuff up, folks.
Nobody's asked us that.
So that
question.
was okay. So you have
no one has ever asked them. Excuse me. No one has ever asked them that question before. She was about to say something because now this is we're talking about her vehicle, her company vehicle. She was about to answer and then faded out. Just one more point.
Is that if it's out in the driveway where people can see it, why is that privileged information?
We just don't have permission from her company to divulge that information.
Have you asked?
No, ma'am, we have not. Nobody's asked us
So
that
that
question.
was okay. So you have a work van. Question to you, Miss Proudfoot, what do you do for a living?
I am an installation technician.
She is an installation technician, but doesn't say what kind. Justin had text me maybe moments ago, just before we got to this part, and it has been found out that she works for a security company. Security company that installs security systems, wherever they may be, commercial or home, residential, give or take. That's what she does. Yet they don't have a home security system installed in their home at all. Talk about using your own product, huh?
That night, was the work van blocking your driveway? Could someone go in and out of your driveway?
The van is parked at the back of my driveway, so someone can pull in, yes.
Got it. Do you park your Infiniti SUV in the garage or outside the garage?
In the garage.
In the garage. Do you have an automatic garage door?
With the clicker.
Right. Do you leave that up or down at night?
Down.
Could anybody lift it up? Like, is there an on and off button outside, or do you have to know a code or have the clicker to open it?
You'd have to know the code or have the clicker.
Does Sebastian know the code?
Not to the garage door, but to the man doors.
Not to the garage door, but to the house doors?
The regular door, yes.
I'm going to come back to that. But I'd do this real quick so that you have a visual of what they're talking about. Here's the home. This is a driveway. See if I can do this real good. I like visuals. There we go. This is their home. This is a driveway. So they're talking right now about her company vehicle being parked right here in this area, the back of the driveway that night. The two garage doors here, side door to the home here that exits to the driveway. He's not there, and her vehicle is in one of these garages here. Figure her vehicle being smaller than his. He drives a truck. She drives a regular vehicle. Sort of like a his and hers type thing. But her company vehicle is back here. Possibly in front of this doorway. I wanted to give you a visual. This is the home. One more. One more. Thank you. Thank you. We've got a bedroom here to the front or the left of the house and a master bedroom to the right of the house. So Sebastian's room is down to the other side of the house. Faith's room is right behind Sebastian's room. That points to the back of the house. This is the door entrance here. Normally, when you get into a home like this, you have the living room and the dining room with windows here in the front of the house, which would be to the right of the home here. Just to give you a visual. All right. Let's go back to the interview.
So is there a code to get in your home, or do you use a regular key?
There's a code.
And he knows that code?
Yes, ma'am.
Question. I'm just trying to figure out how he would have gotten out, or if somebody came into the home. Could they have gotten through the garage door? No, unless they know the code or had the clicker, which they did not. Do you lock your doors at night?
Yes, ma'am.
Could he have left on his own through those doors?
He could. Yes, ma'am.
But I heard in another interview where Mr. Proudfoot said he was not a, quote, wanderer. He didn't wander around. He had never left the home before on his own. Is that right?
Correct. We haven't had issues with him running or taking off in the past.
Okay, let me ask you a couple of questions regarding the doors. Do you have any home surveillance, anything at all that would have given us an idea or a clue if the door had been opened or not, or a window?
Not directly from our house.
Well, then from where?
That's what we were hoping, that neighborhood Ring cameras and may have picked something up.
Gotcha. I want to go back to that night. You said you were up till midnight. You were reading something. What were you reading?
A chapter for school.
A chapter for school. Are you in school?
I was, yes, ma'am. I've since dropped my classes for the time.
What are you studying?
Business administration.
Gotcha. Where do you go to school?
DeVry.
So that night you go to bed at midnight after you've been talking to Mr. Proudfoot on the phone. You put the dogs away in a cage, a crate inside the home, and you go to bed. Did you check on Sebastian at that time?
I did not.
Okay. Do you normally?
Not typically. Since he's gotten older, I've not been checking on him as frequently throughout the night because
Okay. Here's an answer, and there's physiology coming from Chris during this answer. Watch again. And for those of you who think I'm confused as to where Sebastian's room is in the home, it'll be cleared up during the interview, because during this interview, they state that Sebastian's room points to the front of the home. His room points to the front. You'll hear it. But I want to go back and capture this because she's answering a question, and then there's physiology coming from Chris.
A crate inside the home, and you go to bed. Did you check on Sebastian at that time?
I did not.
Okay. Do you normally?
Not typically. Since he's gotten older, I've not been checking on him as frequently throughout the night because normally he's good to go in his room once he goes to bed.
Earlier, you had stated you heard a noise in his room before you went to bed. What time was that?
Around 10 o'clock.
10 p.m. What did it sound like?
Just a thud.
A thud. You stated that you said, look, I don't care what you're doing in there. Go to bed. Is that right?
I was on the couch, which is near his room, and I said, Bubba, did you fall out of the bed? And he said, no, ma'am. And I said, well, whatever you're doing in there, knock it off and go to sleep.
So you heard his voice at 10 p.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any idea what the sound actually was?
I do not know.
If he were to go out his window, what would he step on?
Mulch and bushes.
Did you say mulch or mush?
Mulch.
Mulch.
Mulch. Okay. Got it. Has he ever gone out the window before?
No, ma'am.
Is his room on the front of the house or the back of the house?
Front.
Front.
Y'all got it? So for those of y'all, there's the answer to the question. Where's Sebastian's room? How is his room facing from the house? It's in the front.
Do any of your neighbors' ring cams point toward your house? Could they pick that up?
They do, but it's so dark that they can only see it. After it gets so dark at night, they can only see certain things where there's light.
I thought there were the two lights on
the opposite side of the house.
Okay. Can we talk about Sebastian's shoes? Why are you convinced Sebastian left without shoes on? Or are you?
Well, the reason that came about is because all of his shoes are accounted for inside the house still.
Are you positive?
I'm positive.
How do you know what clothes he was wearing?
The clothes that we described are the ones I saw him in when he went to bed.
That morning, you woke up at 6 o'clock. Is that the normal time you wake up?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a heavy sleeper?
Off and on.
Do you take any medication at night that would make you sleep?
No, ma'am.
But you heard nothing?
I did not, no.
So we know he is alive and well at 10 p.m. At 6 a.m. He's gone. You say he's never left before. Is that right?
Correct. He's never run off before.
And could I confirm, where was his bio dad at the time he went missing?
I believe he was at work in Nashville.
Had there been any family argument or altercation prior to him going missing?
No, ma'am.
And Mr. Prophet, when did you leave town?
Early February.
So
when did you leave town? Early February. Now that's a hold to me. He's not being specific, so there's a non-specific here. February 3rd, 4th, 5th, 1st, 5th, 6th, early February, give or take how the week falls, especially for this year. But I picked that up as a holding, like in football, holding. And he's holding right now.
So you had been gone for days before he went missing. Is that correct?
Correct, ma'am.
Had you visited home since you left?
You said from when I initially.
Ooh, it's a holding right there. He paused for that question. Watch the pause. You don't know? He's dragging now. Holding and dragging, also red flags.
And Mr. Proudfoot, when did you leave town?
Early February.
So you had been gone for days before he went missing. Is that correct?
Correct, ma'am.
Had you visited home since you left?
You said from when I initially left?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I came home February 26th, the morning I was told that he was missing.
From the time that you left for the job in Memphis to February 26th, did you visit the home?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
I was home. I can't give exact dates. Law enforcement has told me not to provide exact dates. But
law enforcement told him not to provide exact dates. And I'm sure your question is, why would they say that? If it helps the case and you're not worried about anything, why wouldn't you say so? If you were there visiting and you came home for visits, why wouldn't you be able to give exact dates? And now I believe he's using a law enforcement hold here. And I'm sure everybody picked that up. Because it's not the only time that he's used this law enforcement type hold. But during the course of the interview, you hear it. And as I study other interviews that he has done and they have done, I'm hearing that, yeah, it's a holding or withholding information at certain points. So he's being selective as to the information they're providing. It's a red flag to me. You're being open and honest and want to find Sebastian. Let's have the conversation. Let's put honesty on the table. Let's be open about it if you want to find Sebastian. Only makes sense to. But he's being selective.
But I had been home multiple times prior to February. And then I left early February and then didn't come back till February 26th, the morning he was missing.
So you were not home from the time you left early February till Feb 26. Is that right?
Correct, ma'am.
Where were you living in Memphis?
I have an RV trailer that I stay in at an RV park.
RV park. Okay. Following back up on that morning, you search the home, Ms. Proudfoot. Then you get in your vehicle and you start searching. Did Sebastian know how to drive?
No, ma'am.
Was your car in the same location when you woke up that morning as it was the night before?
Yes, ma'am.
Has your car been searched by police?
Multiple times. Yes, ma'am.
Have scent dogs looked at your car?
Yes, ma'am.
So your car's in the same place. You get in the car, you start looking in the neighborhood for him. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What about the RV? Have the police use scent dogs in the RV? Is what I would have asked. I mean, we're talking about vehicles, right? Has the scent dogs went through your work vehicle? Be more specific. But only her car that was in the garage that night.
Then you call Mr. Proudfoot, right?
I believe I was already on the phone with him at that point.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Have scent dogs looked at your car?
Yes, ma'am.
So your car's in the same place. You get in the car, you start looking in the neighborhood for him. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Then you call Mr. Proudfoot, right?
I believe I was already on the phone with him at that point.
Okay. Question. Who called 911?
I did.
Who called 911? I did. But in the other interview, you said we did. Now we have a change. Remember? Now we have a change. Now we're being specific. I called 911. Okay. That's not what you said in the other interview. You kind of said we did, like you did it together because you were together. Police showed up like, real quick. Within 10 minutes, they were there. How would you know that if you weren't there? And you're on the phone with Katie. You see how I'm getting to sense something about how Chris is telling the narrative and how Katie is also holding. She's doing holding too, because as he explains it, she has to hold.
You did. What time?
Without looking at a call log, I can't give you the exact time, but on or about 6:20.
And had you guys been talking on the phone before 6 a.m. or did you initially call Mr. Proudfoot at the time you realized Sebastian was gone?
I called him when I realized Sebastian was gone.
Have you guys been out looking for Sebastian?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Answering together. So they're both carrying the story forward together. Very interesting.
We were given information that you guys have left the home. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
I'm going back to work.
You're going back to work. What about you, Miss Proudfoot?
No, I'm not going back to work. Not yet, at least.
Did you leave the home also, Miss Proudfoot?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
To accompany.
I like the way she did that. She asked the question and then came right behind it with a follow-up question. And then now she's asking Katie as to why. Why did you leave the home? And here is her answer.
You're going back to work. What about you, Miss Proudfoot?
No, I'm not going back to work. Not yet, at least.
Did you leave the home also, Miss Proudfoot?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
To accompany my husband going back to work, and then I'm coming back.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Coming back. Are you in the home now? I would have followed right behind that. Are you in the home now? Because she's not in the home. Now she's by herself with the dogs. Then where's she staying?
Okay. When will you be back? Do you know yet?
No, not yet.
Are you concerned about being away while the search is ongoing?
Absolutely, I am.
Then why are you going?
because my son could be anywhere and we're looking everywhere and anywhere.
Someone said in the chat they got rid of the dogs. They got rid of the dogs. Can anybody give me a confirmation on that? Has anybody heard that they got rid of the dogs? Why would they do that? Because if he does come back, obviously, what do you think he's going to be looking for? They belong to Sebastian, that's right. They just got new dogs. Alicia, they just got new dogs. They still had the dogs. Okay. Because each piece is a detail to Sebastian's life. How Sebastian lived, what he was attached to, his world, if you will. And I know pets are a part of people's lives. He's at work in Memphis. She's not in the house. And if they no longer have the dogs and she's no longer there, how could she be worried if Sebastian comes back to the house? If she's not there, I'm just saying, if she's not there now, what if he does? Who's home? You catch these little nuances in the rhythm of the narrative, and who's answering the narrative. You can begin to really profile, if you will, what's going on, and is there some kind of involvement here? And I'm sure that's what the investigators, the law enforcement are doing. They're paying attention to these two, whether they know it or not, where they go, what they do, what contact points they make while they go through all of the electronics and cell phones and tablets and computer, whether they had more than one. Sebastian's Game Boy, his game equipment. They have to be watching them, and I'm sure they are.
Absolutely, I am.
Then why are you going?
Because my son could be anywhere and we're looking everywhere and anywhere.
Why am I going? Because my son could be anywhere and anywhere. Why are you leaving the home? Because my son could be any. Oh boy. Didn't have a good answer for that one. And Chris looks like I'm ready to quit here. If we can get out of this interview right about now, because Nancy has gotten under his skin. These are very detailed, pointed questions, and I'm glad asking.
I've got a question for you.
Yes,
I want to find out about Mr. Proudfoot hitting Sebastian with a belt. What happened?
There we go. Now, this is a point I've been waiting to get to, and I'm sure it's the point that you also want to know as well. I want you to pay very careful attention. This is a critical moment for him. She just put him in the hot seat because she is asking a question based on his contact directly with Sebastian. And it's not a regular, everyday, normal contact. And I know what you're feeling, but I'm glad she asked the question. Here we go. Let me just back it up just a pinch, because now we make contact with Chris.
Then why are you going?
Because my son could be anywhere, and we're looking everywhere and anywhere.
That makes sense. Thank you.
I've got a question for you.
Yes,
I want to find out about Mr. Proudfoot hitting Sebastian with a belt. What happened?
That was actually several years ago, and it
To
was
Mr. Proudfoot.
Oh. Huh. Now, who's answering the question? Him or her? Broken rhythm. His lips are shut. I think he's shocked to even hear the question because he paused. He pauses here. I want you to see how he tries to come back into the conversation. This is brilliant. I'm glad she asked this question. Here we go.
Happened.
That was actually several years ago, and it
To
was
Mr. Proudfoot. To Mr. Proudfoot. To Mr. Proudfoot.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Proudfoot, what happened?
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
He looked like he just woke up. He's acting like he wasn't even paying attention. See? That's what holding does. Excuse me. And for him to be impacted by this question, especially right now during this interview, I wanted to stop it right here because it physically made him move. And at the same time, too, look at Katie. Oh, my God. She would have to ask that.
Understood. I thought you were asking Katie.
Didn't understand what you were at. Come on.
Sebastian with a belt. What happened?
Watch this.
That was actually several years ago, and it
To
was
Mr. Proudfoot. To Mr. Proudfoot. To Mr. Proudfoot.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Proudfoot, what happened?
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I thought you were asking Katie. Sebastian had gotten in trouble. He got caught lying. And I had asked him, I said, hey, you got to have a punishment for this. He says, yes, sir.
You have got to have a punishment for this lying. However which way he took it, however which way this came to him, he says, okay, you have got to have a punishment. Almost insistent.
Yes, sir. And I said, okay. So I gave him a swap.
Yeah, he says, okay, yes, sir. Okay. Would you think about what he just said? If you told your child, however old they may be, Sebastian's age or below, let's just say, what he just said about getting punishment, and what child is going to answer you in the affirmative? Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Give it to me. So here now he's in construct mode. Construct means now I have to tell this story. And now let me tell it in a way that doesn't appear to be too offensive. This is a parent now, one-on-one, him and Sebastian. He's going to tell his side of the story and give it a way or couch it in a way that doesn't make him appear as a bad parent, giving a punishment to a 15-year-old with autism.
A swat with a belt on his buttocks on the outside of his clothes. One swat.
One swat on the outside of his clothes, on his buttocks. One swat. A 15-year-old. This is your punishment. Turn around. Whack. That's it. Now, my question is, do you believe that? For lying, I'm going to give you a punishment. Whack. That's it. Do you believe that? I can't buy it. Honestly, that's just from me. I cannot buy this. Eyes down, lids shut. He's trying to couch it in a nonchalant way. Don't take me as the offensive party in what happened between me and Sebastian. It was quick, it was to the point, and it was over with. No big deal. No big deal.
What did he lie about?
Honestly, I don't remember at the time, but it was probably something dealing with school because that's majority where his issues lie.
Did he have other issues at school?
Some behavioral stuff, but nothing too crazy.
What kind of behavioral stuff?
Now remember, what kind of behavior now? She should be chiming in as well about behavior. Because if he's at work, what is Katie doing with Sebastian? Also experiencing Sebastian's behavior. But watch what happens.
He has a hard time. He's like awkwardly socially like blending in with students, so it's a little. He's trying to figure out how to do it, but respecting people's space. He gets a little too close, and then kids don't really accept that too much, so it kind of causes an issue. But he'll not stop, and he continues on. So then it causes an issue, and instead of being honest about it, he'll lie. Like, no, I didn't. Okay, Sebastian.
We're lying about doing.
Was that the first time?
Ooh. Katie comes right behind him, but she's cut off by Nancy. She was holding, and yet now it's her turn. But Nancy comes in.
Was that the first time you had ever hit him with a belt?
Cuts her off. Now, I don't know if Nancy picked up on that, but she was just about to come around the corner right after him. Watch it again. Because we're studying this together. After his explanation, his details from his perspective, his side of the story, she's sitting there holding. Oh, my turn. And as she begins, Nancy cuts her off and she folds.
And instead of being honest about it, he'll lie. Like, no, I didn't. Okay, Sebastian.
We're lying about doing.
Was that the first time? Was that the first time you had ever hit him with a belt?
Yes, ma'am. The one and only time, actually.
When was this?
The one and only time, actually. And notice Katie did not chime in and say, I was going to say what she was getting ready to say, that she got cut off to say, she folded back. I feel you, chat. I feel you. That's why I wanted you to take a look at comparisons. We're studying human behavior. We're doing a breakdown, an analysis, if you will, as to questions and answers from reporters. Now we have an attorney asking specific questions, open and close-ended questions, both together, separately, together, separately, together, separately. And now you're sensing what I gathered. Yeah, there's a lot of detailed, let's just say, deception going on. And that's just my opinion. Allegedly, as some of the content creators have to say, allegedly, we're only speaking from our opinion based upon observation of the subject matter and the matter itself before us. That's all we're doing. There's no judgment call here. No one's guilty of doing anything, and we're not prescribing guilt here tonight. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. We're just observing an interview that it's not chiming with us. That's all.
Years ago, ma'am.
Years ago, with his head nodding no. Did you catch that? Years ago, watch the head.
Years ago, ma'am.
Any idea how many? 3, 10, 1?
It probably at least 3 years ago.
I don't understand how that turned into a CPS or Child Protective Services complaint. How were they alerted that you hit him with a belt?
That did not turn into a CPS service call.
Head still nodding, giving an explanation and denying something during a question pertaining to CPS. Now this starts to, she's getting under his skin. Now she's brought up the CPS part. And for as many of y'all that have looked at this, this is how I'm looking at it. And this is how critical in terms of my observation I get when I study these interviews. Giving an explanation, shaking your head left to right, no, is a negative. Everybody kind of feels that, yeah, it's a negative. You're trying to put a positive out while you're physically responding and acting from a negative. So here's deception. I indicate deception. I don't have to say allegedly either. I indicate deception. Look at Nancy's eyes. Wait a minute. Okay. Is this what you're telling me? Okay. Let me go deeper.
There were other CPS reports, right? Were they regarding your other child?
There is one in regards to my daughter that I know of out in New Mexico with my ex-wife and myself.
What happened?
At the time, my ex-wife had fled to New Mexico with my daughter. We're going through a custody and then a divorce case at that time.
Now, remember, he's explaining this in front of Katie. She has nothing to say about this. But could you imagine if this would be the first time Katie is actually hearing what he's saying about what went on between him and his ex-wife and CPS, and this is her first time hearing it? He might not have even told her about this. Just think about that.
And at the time, when I'd call and try to check in on my daughter, I could never reach my ex-wife at that time. So a welfare check was requested. Law enforcement told me to call CPS if I had concerns. So I called CPS. Law enforcement did make a welfare call, and that was it.
Then how does that turn into a CPS complaint against you?
I have no idea, ma'am.
That's the wrong answer. I have no idea. Do you believe him? Is CPS involved in a situation and you've got no idea? Okay, Chris.
There's a lot of misinformation out there right now in regards to my New Mexico case that actually has no relevance to the Sebastian case.
Then was there even a CPS complaint against you in New Mexico?
Not that I am aware of. And my attorney and myself are well educated on my case, and there's nothing that we know of.
I believe you, Chris. How could you not? You should know everything, especially about a CPS case. Come on. As a dad, you're having some issues with the former spouse, and you have no idea. I'm not aware. Reminded me of Bill Clinton there for a minute. I did not have sexual relationships with that woman, Monica. So pattern, he's holding tight. He's holding tight here. In fact, I think he's surprised that she's even bringing this up in front of Katie, having this discussion about a former CPS case. And then as we proceed, watch what happens.
Was there a TRO taken out against you regarding your daughter?
Not a TRO, but a TPO.
A temporary protective order. Why was that taken out?
So in regards to that case, my ex-wife had a TPO put against her in Tennessee at the time. When we went to court, that got dissolved. I was ordered to hand my daughter back over to my ex-wife at the time. She gets in a truck. She fleds to New Mexico. 2 days later, she files one in retaliation.
Okay, so what does that sound like to you? She's getting the hell away from you. Whatever it is that she ran from, meaning she's getting the hell away from you. I mean, I wouldn't go to Mexico, but, she's repelling away from you. And in retaliation, hence, she comes back with CPS or the restraining order. Once again, could you imagine if this is the first time Katie is hearing this?
Is it still in place?
No, ma'am. That was dropped within, I think, 2 weeks of it being put in place.
I've got a question about the belt incident. You're telling me that was the only time that you ever hit Sebastian with a belt?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're also telling me that did not make it to CPS?
No, ma'am, that did not.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Regarding Faith's furniture.
Yes,
a few days after Sebastian goes missing, did you replace furniture in Faith's room?
No, ma'am, I have not replaced any furniture in my daughter's room.
Is there any new furniture in the home?
Yes, ma'am. There's a bed that was given to me, and it's currently in my garage.
Has anything been taken out of the home?
No, ma'am.
I was curious about a statement that Miss Proudfoot made earlier that canine dogs hit on the barn around the home and near a retention pond. Did that happen?
I'm not sure about the barn, but the retention pond, yes.
Because law enforcement says the dogs did not hit. But Miss Proud,
did you just pick up on that question?
around the home and near a retention pond treatment? P.S.
No, ma'am, that did not.
Question.
Question. I wanted to back it up so that this way you could see Nancy Grace transition over to Katie. This was a question for her, but who answers?
Yes, ma'am.
Regarding Faith's furniture.
Yes,
a few
ma'am.
days after Sebastian goes missing, did you replace furniture in Faith's room?
No, ma'am, I have not replaced any furniture in my daughter's room.
Is there any new furniture in the home?
Yes, ma'am, there's a bed that was given to me and it's currently in my garage.
Has anything been taken out of the home?
No, ma'am.
I was curious about a statement that Miss Proudfoot made earlier that canine dogs hit on the barn around the home and near a retention pond. Did that happen?
I'm not sure about the barn, but the retention pond, yes.
Whose statement was it, though? Whose statement was it? Was it his or was it hers? And Nancy eloquently prefaces the question regarding her statement, not his.
Because law enforcement says the dogs did not hit, but Miss
There's been
Proudfoot says they did hit around the retention pond.
Miss Proudfoot said they did hit. Once again, who answers?
So there's been a lot of miscommunication in regards to what is and what is not. To help clear that up, law enforcement has actually spoken directly with me, showed me a few things. What I can tell you is there, from day one, there was
Regarding her statement, here's a break here. She's holding, he's detailing, he's explaining the narrative. So he's got control of her statement. I mean, this is all in plain sight, folks. We're all looking at the same information. How we process it, what we observe and how we process it is going to be different because we're all observing at different degrees. I'm sharing with you here tonight the degree I'm on and my observation of what I see. That's all this is about.
there was 5 dogs that started the scent for the search. And then after that, from the next 8 days out from that, there have been dogs from all over the country that have come in and done searches and had scent hits in various locations. But I would say a certain percentage of them tend to go toward the same spot, which would have been a retention pond.
So the law enforcement dogs did not hit on the retention pond. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying they did. There was at least 3 that I know for a fact that did hit on the retention pond.
That I know for a fact. Once again, there's no answer from Katie, but yet she's the one who made the statement. Law enforcement has not come out to do a press conference of any kind or update of any kind or TBI of any kind to tell us what he's telling us right now. Specific. Not unless there is one, and there's a recent one I may have overlooked at or haven't caught up on. If anybody knows, please send it to me. Please send it to me. You know, I like to be wrong. I like to be wrong sometimes. I like to be corrected. But the information I'm gathering is a statement she made but detailed information and answer he's making as a statement she made. And now, once again, using law enforcement as a conduit of that information. And Nancy is looking because she's got it in front of her. That's why she's asking the questions that she's asking. Think about it.
And the pawn has been
No answer from her regarding the question that Nancy was making reference to her statement from her during this questioning segment right here. Now, Nancy's moving on to the next question, but she's holding.
pawn has been drained, correct? And there was nothing there.
Yes, ma'am. They have walked it, drained it, and there's nothing. The retention pond was only knee deep anyways.
On one occasion, Mr. Proudfoot, you stated that you and Mrs. Proudfoot have been, quote, vetted and cleared of foul play. That was stated on Chronicles of Olivia. Is that true? What do you mean by that?
Yes. So after working with law enforcement of all agencies, they have actually told us that there is no foul play, no.
Using the vague term they, meaning non-specific, not TBI, not the sheriff's office, lead investigator. It's they, that's collectively, but nothing from they has ever came out making the claim he is making publicly yet. If it is to come, let it come. But so far, it hasn't.
Nefarious issues. We've been cleared of all wrongdoing. We are working extremely cooperative with all law enforcement agencies. At any point in time that they've called, come to the house, anything.
Was Sebastian angry or upset before he disappeared?
No, ma'am.
Not to my knowledge.
What is your theory about where is Sebastian?
I wish I knew where he was, to be honest.
Your theory.
I think it's possible that someone has my son.
Why?
Huh. Guess who answers? What is your theory about what happened to Sebastian? Now she chimes in. He's now holding, eyes down, lids closed. I want you to capture these moments for yourself. And this is where I take notes of everything that I see.
Because I feel like if he had been close to the house or had walked off, that we would found him by now with as many people as we had searching.
Have you checked his social media?
He doesn't have social media.
Have you checked his phone?
His phone has been thoroughly checked, yes, ma'am.
Have you handed your phones to police, both of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, we have.
Has police searched all of your devices, your laptop, your iPad, everything?
Remember, he never gave his theory. They're moving through the question, but he never gave his theory as to what happened to Sebastian. Keep that in mind.
Everything. Yes, ma'am.
Other than you, Miss Proudfoot, who is the last person that saw or heard Sebastian alive the Sunday before he went missing?
Two of his aunts, a cousin, and the staff where we had dinner.
And that was at BJ's the night before or the bowling alley?
So BJ's, and then we went to the bowling alley, and then after the bowling alley, we went to dinner before coming home.
I want to follow up again on the dogs hitting. Earlier, Ms. Prophet had stated the dogs hit around the house, the barn, and at the retention pond. Is that correct?
I don't know about the barn, but I do.
If you notice, somebody in the background is in that camper with them, and they're clearing their throat. This is about maybe the third or fourth time I'm hearing someone clear their throat, and it's not Chris or Katie. If you caught that.
Two of his aunts, a cousin, and the staff where we had dinner.
And that was at BJ's the night before or the bowling alley?
So BJ's, and then we went to the bowling alley, and then after the bowling alley, we went to dinner before coming home.
I want to follow up again on the dogs hitting. Earlier, Ms. Prophet had stated the dogs hit around the house, the barn, and at the retention pond. Is that correct?
I don't know about the barn, but I do know that they did track.
You heard that? I'm not making this up. I want you to hear certain things as during the course of this interview. Someone's clearing their throat inside the camper. Who that is, I don't know. Is it a signal? I don't know. But based on the question being asked by Nancy, it's critical. Dogs hitting the house is going on in the background. Okay. Third party involved there.
Track to the pond, yes.
Did the dogs also hit around the house?
Yes, ma'am.
On the outside of the house?
Yes, ma'am.
Were they scent dogs or cadaver dogs?
They brought in both cadaver and tracking dogs.
Which dog hit, a cadaver dog or a scent dog?
Scent dog.
It's all been scent dogs that have hit. The cadaver dogs have not hit on anything that we know of.
What do you believe Sebastian was wearing when he disappeared? And would that have been what he slept in?
Yes. So the clothes, the
Going back to scent dogs, cadaver dogs. If the cadaver dogs didn't sense anything and the scent dogs did, that's good. That tells me Sebastian is alive. You get cadaver dogs that go crazy over a scent. That's bad news. And it tells us something else. Just so that I was able to fine tune that for you.
the black sweatpants with the white stripes and the long sleeve black shirt, that is what he went to bed in. And the reason that I believe he was still wearing those clothes is because when we searched, I did not find those clothes in the house. So I have to assume that that's what he was still wearing.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Did you say that's what he wore when he went to bed?
Yes, ma'am.
Joining us right now, in addition to Katie.
Okay. I wanted to get through, excuse me. I wanted to get through this segment portion of their interview. I am going to be coming back tomorrow night with a power panel. And we're going to proceed from this interview into, I guess, collectively our findings on the case. But this was a dynamic interview that Nancy Grace, God bless her for being here and being on this case. Whew, I tell you, was able to conduct an interview and in such a way, she's working. And I'm glad she did this because she's gleaned more detailed information as best as they allowed her to get that they divulged during the course of this interview, we're able to receive more information, more nuances, how they play off each other. I seen a lot of people say this scripted. Are they trying to stay on the same page, but the page is starting to get broken up a little bit? Yeah. And if you've said that to yourself, yeah, that's exactly what you saw in front of you. And for all 400 and 32 people, I hope you hit the like button. I hope what I've done here tonight to regarding this particular case on this live helps you from various different degrees, case comparisons, and perspectives when it comes to parental interviews, when it comes to a missing person or persons. In the case, as we saw with Amari Nicholson, we have two parents, boyfriend, girlfriend. We saw what happened. We saw the result. He's in jail for murder. We saw Jacqueline and Trezell West from the West case, their interview in comparison to the Amari Nicholson interview comparison. We went a step forward and further with the Meline Soto. So Jennifer Soto and Stephen Stearns, their interview. And then we culminate to get to the interview that makes this live possible. Do you see what I see? Do you hear what I hear? Are you gathering for yourself in a clear form from all 4 interviews tonight? And now pointing your mental focus at this specific interview, how well did Chris and Katie Proudfoot do? Type of 1, they did good. Type of 2, if they did bad. Let's see what we got. Chris, Katie, if you're watching my live, take a look at my chat. Count the numbers. Look at the numbers. For almost 400 people in here, they see what I see. I see what they see. Do you see what we see? You see? Now they can call this public opinion. Okay. Rightfully so. It is our opinion. How we see things, how we perceive things. But when you can get a lineup of more 2s than 1s in my chat, covering this case as we are about to proceed, and I'm just getting started. And thank goodness for Justin, Justice for All, Clutch Them Pearls, Brittany J. from Allegedly, Miss Mandy, Mr. and Mrs. Cher, Voices Behind the Wall, Truth Seeker, and anybody who's covering this case. And in the way that they're covering it, it's a positive, because it's all information to inform us as to what's going on in our world, in our communities, most likely. My hat's off to them. I'm in good company. I've always said that. I always will when I know that I'm in good company. And I was definitely in great company last night for the celebration 10K plus. You got John Q working. As you can see of what I displayed out in the last, 3.5 hours, I wanted you to just take a look at a study, something I'm sharing with you that's a part of me, as to how I study casework. It's a lot involved. Obviously, you see the time. But when you can get it in this way and see it in this way, then you're able to come to more specific pieces of information, not so much conclusions, especially if the story is still open, but get it to a point to where you can clearly understand it. And no one can mess with that. You can understand it for yourself. And regardless of what you hear out there, no one can shake it. Not unless they could show it to you to help you to understand it. Hopefully tonight, I've helped you to understand the Chris and Katie Proudfoot interview a little bit better than what you've already seen. And it doesn't take away from anyone that has shown it to you. It's to complement what they've already done. So with that said, let me do this. Let me ask you one question. How was the live tonight? Type a 1 for yes, 2 for no. John did good, type a 1. Or John, you suck, type a 2. I just want to see something. Because this goes to Sebastian. What we're doing here tonight goes for him. We want to know what happened to Sebastian. And if Chris and Katie Proudfoot, or Seth Rogers, any of his family and loved ones are watching this live, this is what we do as content creators on YouTube when we cover cases like this. And everyone in the chat who saw for themselves is telling you the truth. That's their answer, Chris and Katie. They're telling you the truth. It's not just me sitting up here making my own mind up, coming to my own conclusions, putting out misinformation and false narratives and all this other YouTube nonsense. No. If I'm going to give it to you, I got to give it to you like I'm getting it. And I've got to put it together like I can give it. And if I can give it, I can only give it from the platform and the place of honesty. All these cases have to operate when investigated with full honesty, fully integrated honesty. That means every sense in the human being has to be involved. Not just to what I see, what I hear, but if you can smell it, if you could feel it, if you could taste it, if you using everything, including the sixth sense, your intuition, your insight, and wisdom, yes, you can come to certain degrees of truth, I call it. You can get there, but if you got a lot of noise and distortion and nonsense and mess and all that going on, you can't do it. That's the tool of distraction. It's not a good tool to use in true crime, ever. Ever. Doesn't work, and it will never work. But if you can keep it straight, like I tried to give it to you here tonight, just like this, you'll get there a whole lot faster. And maybe we can bring some children home that go missing. How's that? I like that. I'd love that. Rather than the negative results that happened to Amari Nicholson, or the results that we have so far on Summer Wells. Cash Gernon, Daniel Robinson. Come on. You got to know what your work is about as a content creator. Stay off the mess and just focus. That's what I do here on my channel. I live for it. I work for it. That's just what we do. And for the 400, excuse me, for the 400 and some odd people that were here in this chat during the course of this live, thank you. If I showed you something, if I said something, if you heard something and you got it from John Q and it was far better or it helped a little bit better, hey, I can go to sleep real good tonight. I can rest well. So tomorrow, with God's speed, I can get up, continue my work, and come back like we're going to tomorrow night. I think we're going to do it at 9 o'clock. I'll be in contact with the power content creators that we're going to be on panel with. And we're going to come back and we're going to rock it again. I feel privileged and blessed to be in the company of content creators who's laid out the platform, if you will, of information for us to do what we're about to do tomorrow night. So you don't want to miss it. I'm going to post it as soon as I can. And as soon as you see it, make sure you subscribe. You got that bell lit up, because YouTube is very funny with notifications. I'm telling you. But we're tomorrow night at 9. If you don't get a notification, you got the number 9 p.m. John Q. 9 p.m. John Q. 9 p.m. John Q. Because we're going to turn it over tomorrow night. We're going to turn it over. Thank you, Patty. Patty just came in here and just gave me the last number 2. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and time flies when you do these kind of lives. It does. I said 8:15, I'm going. Look what time it is. I said, okay, 3 hours and 40 minutes. Okay, it was a lot of information, but we had to build toward the crescendo to get to where we got. That way you can see it, and you can never misunderstand it or get it twisted. And that's the hard work of a content creator. How can I deliver? How can I communicate this directly to you and you can clearly understand it without any further explanation whatsoever by the time I'm finished? So if you feel that your time is spent well, thank you. Thank you. Marley 13 is in the building. D-Love is in the building. Aussie True Crime, good to see you. Red Miller Rickson is in the building. My goodness. I'm glad y'all could be here. I'm glad y'all were with us for the celebration yesterday. If you haven't caught it, please go back, hit a replay, schedule it for the weekend. It was awesome. And tonight, I hope you got something from it. I hope you get something from it. I hope you'll walk away with something, especially from this case now, because it's hot. Miss Carol Smith sent me a couple of messages during the course of this live. I haven't even gotten to yet. I'm eager to get to, because I think it was something regarding voice communication, whether the 911 call came out, because that's the key to the case. It's a 911 call. For every one of these cases, it's always that first 911 call to the people you need help from. Especially when it comes to missing children. If they could release the 911 call to see how Chris conducted himself, what he told law enforcement, since he wasn't there, remember? What he said that Katie experienced. That's like putting words in somebody else's mouth. And I wanted you to discern that tonight in the live. Something happened to Amari Nicholson, and the boyfriend never called 911. The mother did, and she was in Colorado. What did she know happened to the kid? Thank you, Karen. What did she know that happened to her son when she's in Colorado and he's in Las Vegas? We know something here tonight. What did Trezell West know that night when the boys went missing, December 2020, 4 days before Christmas, about what happened to Classic and Sincere? He made the 911 call. She didn't, but she said we. We call 911. See, when they use we, look out. We is even though it's French, but yet in America, we can get very suspicious about we, can't we? I don't want to get silly about it right now, but facts are facts. What happened to Summer Wells? Who called 911? Who called the police? Candace or Dawn? Summer was with who that day she went missing? Candace or Dawn? Now go back to the 911 call. Who did they say? Who did they say call 911? Why would you have to call 911 and you're at work? Why would I allow you to speak for me when I'm the one experiencing the missing child experience myself and not call 911? That's when you know things are funny. I mean, to me, I'm just giving it to you straight. To me. Don't understand it, but hence something afoot, as Sherlock would say. Something is afoot. Something afoot. Why not use 2 feet? Start looking. Start searching. Get your ass in gear. Do something about it. Because that's the only way anything can change. So we'll be back tomorrow night. My love goes out to every single one of you for being here for Sebastian tonight. All the content creators that I've mentioned. We're coming back with a power team tomorrow to chop this up a bit further. Maybe even talk about some of the things we talked about here on this live and their lives that they did. I'm a good listener, and I try to do my best to observe everything and everyone's work, especially when it complements the work I'm doing. So I hope you guys feel like you were blessed tonight. I certainly am with your presence always. Miss Carol Smith, thank you so much. I saw you in the room earlier, Miss Oklahoma. Much love to you. You were in the room last night for the celebration, and the chat was going so fast, I didn't even see your name. And thank you for the gift, the love you sent me through the Cash App, because it helps me to continue doing the work that I do. Always does, always will. I'm working on a project right now with Mr. Bossman Blake. And he's looking to fine tune John Q's channel once again. We haven't done it. I usually do it every year, but we haven't done it for 2024. But there'll be some new things that I'm going to be incorporating on the channel. And he's going to be working with me behind the scenes to get that done. So much love to every single one of you. God bless. If you have children, hug them, go and check them, open their room door. Are they in their bed? Are they sleep tight? If they're under 10, even if they're under 15, go and check them. And if they live in your house and they're under 25, go and check them too. How's that? Are they good? Unfortunately for Katie, she didn't go to check out the thump or the thud. She didn't do it. Especially a child with special needs. And that bothers me. That 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock timeline bothers me. Got 8 hours in there. Something happened in an 8-hour timeline. Think, just keep that on the table. Anything can happen in 8 hours. Anything can happen in 1. How's about a couple of minutes, give or take? What happened that night, early morning, before 6, before she got up? What happened to Sebastian? What really happened to him is what we're after. So with that said, I'm going to retire, get something to eat. I'll probably stay up another couple of hours. Personal, still digging through what I have on my desk regarding this case to prepare for tomorrow night. But I hope to see you, every single one of you, because it's on the desk and it needs our undivided attention. That's what we're going to give it. So much love to everybody. Tomorrow night, I will be able to, relax a little bit. I don't think I'm going to be presenting too much because I tried to do that here tonight, just before the live tomorrow. I know that the content creators, I will be having them present a lot of their findings. So it gives me a little flex time to get to your comments and highlight them during the course of the chat. Whether there are questions, comments, things of that nature, because we learn from you too. We always learn from you. That's why it's important for you to be here. Always. So with that said, much love. Be well and stay blessed. Miss Justice, I see you. Much love to you. Everybody in blue knows how much I love them because they always show the love back. With Godspeed. We'll see you tomorrow night.